A place cannot produce poems. It can only not prevent them. And Freetown is good at that, for Freetown has its own sudden elegances. People are slow to leave it, quick to return. And there are others who come for a year or two and stay for a lifetime, sensing that they found a city that is in the world, yet sufficiently on the edge of it to have a different resonance. Let me tell you something about this city. All of us, we're all just passing through, and we've all been here forever. Those who came, those who stayed, those who never returned. Tides turn, seasons change, we've waited and we've watched. But we've always been here. We've always listened, because there is a different resonance here. It comes from the river, and the land, and the sky.
It's our place, all of us.
This city belongs to everyone.
And you know when it's your time.
And it's our time.
Listen, we are Freetown.
The golden rules of Freetown.
Don't pretend you're something that you're not.
Don't go thinking you're better than anyone else,
or that anyone else is better than you.
Don't shout about it. Get on with it.
We are Freetown.
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 Yeah.
We found our voice again.
I'm from India and Freetown.
I'm from China and Freetown.
I'm from the UK and Freetown.
I am from Nigeria and Freetown.
I am from home and Freetown.
This city belongs to everyone.
The fishermen,
the taxi driver,
the barber,
the drummers, the dancers.
All of us.
All of us. Everybody. We are Freetown.
The past is ours.
The future is ours. It's our time again.
And this city belongs to everyone.
The playwright,
the greengrocer,
the teacher,
the dog.
This space is ours.
This light is ours.
The beaches are ours.
The rivers now we own.
The roads are ours.
The bridges now we own.
We are Freetown.
We are all visitors, and we've all been here forever.
We've got the mightiest river
and the biggest sky.
And there's a resonance again.
Freetown. Freetown.
We are proud of this place.
We love this city.
And we want you to love it too.
We are proud of this place.
Na pass we all dey pass like stranger dem, but we all don't dare from them. Come here, and you'll feel it, that end of the line sense of freedom. Say yes to Freetown. Say yes.
Where use? You get use?
Yes, so I get use.
When I listen, they say I'll do and cover to the program. Where use? The program they make it no different to where they happen all about the country. Only when they're the country when they watch the program. Just go for take part in the program or just like who that today out of this country, but as far as sound day, once you accept they watch the program, the same chance like who that they in country will take part in the program.
And the way we go do that, the way we watch the program, as Fox say, where the number you see on the television, whether 076 or 031, it's 12174. Send a text or WhatsApp message, you will get them inside the program.
And it will be your voice.
My voice.
And inside the program, I'm going to say 2 days continuous rain, all day and night. Don't knock the people that wait up in a Mateo village, now the Kamakwe, Makini Highway, and carry the districts. That 2 days, all day and night rain, don't cause the famous, now that part in the country, carry the district in Nyaka until the again. One more slide while again don't be this time na Bronze Lane and na Congo Tong. What's happening? Keep me compare with me know what's happening after that more slide while they don't be so na Congo Tong. While also when na East Book Street and the center pass inside Freetown, then a bad condition na contact for them people then they will make una see what make us see na contact for them. The Ministry for Well-being and Sanitary Business don't put word say 6-week term. The current hospital mortuary not go open to the public again. Waiting to make the Ministry for Health and Sanitation go lock current hospital mortuary for 6 weeks. I will make una know waiting and say. And say people that wait up na Kube na the western part inside Freetown. Don't pull word say this year then tell God thank you because of what Freetown City Council do for them. The kind of wahala we can be with them when Pasmak rain water came all over, you know be with them. It already get still the book going another part in the country. And say passenger the women inside our work a fine bus. As the bus reach around the Gokuba community, now this is part inside Freetown, waiting the passenger then do out of contact, I will like you over the window, waiting do, I will make one know. Always here, waiting I tell you so, plus other one day, then at the program, one no hint about it. But first, make I tell you say, yourself can be part of this program, waiting the happen in your area, where you want for make reuse, bring and come to all man of the country or other country. Pick your phone, turn on the other way. Like that, into the way the other upright to for answer to call slant time before you pick what you they pick. Send that video clip to where you will get them. Go make sure say we edit them first, done we send and go back to owner. The number for send that video clip day now 088 077 042. Pick a one more. I said pick video clip of what you see now you area outside you go. Send them to we 088 077 042. We will bring the program to Cantona. Me and Kona. Raymond Fox na my name. Well, they can take a break after which we will continue the program we use.
Your bank along with you everywhere you go. No need to stress when you don't have cash on you. With Mion FLCB Visa debit card, you're able to access your money, pay for goods and services, shop and send money online via ATM and POS devices in Sierra Leone and worldwide. It is convenient, secure and easy. SLCB, delivering value.
Welcome back. When I will start the program, we will start with this sad one as the bridge in Mateo village along the Kabakwe inside Karine district. Well, this village has an alternative one and get since where them first bridge we don't well water don't care and go for second 2 days continuously with every in the that village and the same way so affecting plantation. Well, we own sorry say send this story for in a studio.
Esther. We dey go Kamakwe. No, the other motor carry over. The other motor carry over side. Yeah.
Wetu na siso na carry in the district na wetu pick up so one send Antona. Papa God moves in a mysterious way. His wonders to perform. When not be to you, you say not be it. It's only for pick sense. One more slide while I don't be this time here so na Bronze Lane na Congo Town. According to reports who get all the way from that while there nobody know the way lost in life. But property then go. How will we be that more slide in a Congo Town? Me workmates, ne never found cabin go they bring with if not.
Hello, Fambulem. Well, today we can have Bronze Lane inside Congoton community where we get the understanding say stone, big stone as not the sea. We get for wall today Tuesday morning where people then be they sleep. But we tell God thank you, we not lost nobody know that this community also. But what we can at the community we cannot say this place as when I say every year dirty the court. And I see the work them and able for snap fine and turn to the camera na ling because we start snap safe na edge. The people where they live here so they live not threats than they on right now because more stone than they are about for them and now they call on the authorities we concerned for camera so NDMA, ONS, so many other people them for make them go come and help the situation here as the youth them right now they for pull the dirty and see how they go able for broke this stone where even get height past the host them. Imagine this stone they lap for them now so na die for be happen. People them for be lost them life. But thank God how easy they so now so just rest. But more day ahead we end as not the sea. Plenty day ahead. Us then they up. If it is for them now more disaster go lost plenty lives than at this place.
Councillor Samuel Kama, where they call Councillor Nice. Really, this is a blessing because the kind stone I see, we come up with for them, it just sit on no more. Because that stone become ours, we won't get beaucoup people for that, but we tell God thank you, that not happen. But this,
5 million.
I say, the wasn't 5 million, said got another up. We got another up. The water they can at the streets, they can meet some people like really one part they build up here. The last month I go say because the road this side water the pass, it can block them. One way can block at and say pa no block this no block it's in a place. That's okay in a place, but people they don't here where they live down here. For the sake of people they live, go back who say you there at least let the water go get to what it said they do but you don't do a little disaster now where it don't can cause
long one then can do we can now the wall back the stone scaling back by the wall and broke the wall can do yeah before last back with the same disaster be happen we go meet them we go talk to them because they na them property and the land na them stone come up come meet you know the first one go meet and make no effort my papa go meet the guy there as young boy say well look and see the Lord discuss this if now he tell you yourself we would make a if you know na get one bag couch and get other one bag couch he say yes before me papa but from then take bag then bag down the end another end if it's now we over to in cut canon now also we up this so all the canon because na stone na no more all us dey
one stone under back the stone nothing all the stone so down the back we know say as any time they go
Let them avoid them people with the bill na the gutter them. Let them stop. We get up here we know say one man we know say na Creole man. Now he can cut the road for the water not the rondo again. You understand? He don't cut, he don't bank, he don't make strength one to around. We no get no hope for common here. Pass a happy no for make retain the wall na here.
Name na Memona to Kamara. Where we sleep na next weekend guards because of the rain. Where the rain they can heavy. Let one day other one no come for don't pack people them because we dey pray that let no happen self. We dey forbid and self God forbid. So let that neighbor no come one day where people dey expect back candle. So
John Cano. Then I one stone first for them. Then later na the big one for them back. In fact, in damage the wall and the water always be the camera. They get all flop na the room now all side.
This also affects.
I made a leave for close 2 to 3 years now. But this stone be they up, then we get gutter, then we get small retaining wall. So like now, where the rate be they can run 3 to 4, 9 happy. Yeah, so like water go inside the room, then all thing. Well, TV, then fridge, bed, water so called. So the stone way knock the wall. So like the block the wall for the inside the room. Water go inside.
Fambulem as soon as self dom yeri from them I don't say all waiting. We don't show na today na this side so na Bronze Lane, Congo Tongue yana by the wharf part. Well the people them wait up now so then they call on the attention of people them we concerned for calm respond to this disaster as more disaster they ahead of them with themselves not get control over. Well, so today we'll continue for Guna more updates, but things that will happen all about the country, especially Congo Tongue, as now one of the disaster prone area them where the NDMA, the disaster management agency, we don't talk what Congo Tongue. Well, so today next time, my own name Nanandwa Toronka.
Well, na so beyanda. One house waiting up na East Brook Street inside Freetown. Well, this house has will be in bad shape. You know say yai, no they thoughts, but it's sabi a beload. People that wait up around our community they raise concern, same way so the public self in social media we raise concern. So we volunteer when Muhammad Lamin to say we rush na the scene and send this for me.
Abubakar Jabi. I mean a community youth man as Sudanese. Well, this particular house, number 12 East Brook Lane, this will be owned by one former businessman called Okas Bangua. But during the time of business, we don't help most of them picking them for go overseas. So like, a few family members they already told, and they will supervise this particular house. But being that way, the family don't recognize this particular problem with other things that may circulate on social media. We, the community members, and especially the religious leaders, we reach out to the family overseas. Say now, we need for come, everything already become a death yard. No wait say that come already before I respond. The host in question, I want a papa in legacy. So we will reach out to them with and talk to yes, it makes sense really.
Well, I'm Yusuf Bangua, yes, Papa, and I'm not the healer of this house here. Because whether Bora is and they're out there. With this problem happening, I got a call there, I tell her explain there, what's not the problem of goods. Immediately then back coming, they respond to the war because right away she's come on broke down. Even without smart today, even things that were work so I work now with the pastor. But then I call me and say the also going on social media and people are saying dead stuff. Everybody know at the social thank you. From where this problem will happen, nobody in life will say for what we do work except nobody know injury up to now, nobody know who for so again things that thing that would happen. Well, either see we hope to go on any day with the work for what this problem happen, any day with the work. So if somebody will come up there, I can't see this society talking about that. I need to understand and kind of plan it. I don't know if maybe they need to see fine or they need to can't see how the work will go on.
So who sent this thing to happen?
Well, this thing happened about a month ago now. Immediately when it happens Sunday and Monday now start to work. More than 1 month now we dey party work. Everybody know. This work away stands from dawn side, I don't start. Dig, go meet right down the ground. That only for let's say the level of the road. Any side now 10 bags cement in everybody. And the money we don't spend right now to them pillar there, as you can see, them pillar there, we don't spend more than 100 million use. By them pillar there, for let them smart like I didn't do so. When somebody go talk in a dead gap, that he left so we would party work, we don't say inshallah, nobody no go die now until we finish the work. We didn't party work any day.
Your name now Idris Sisi. Well, actually, this place inside this case here, we experience small accidents over here with this book. So we self within now, no sit down actually. Now we do level best, go all out. Make sure say we start the work properly. Even though there are some damages, we will not sit down full and full foot, just like that. In the very moment where the accidents happen and we place broke, we all put hands on deck, then we start the renovation. Even the retaining wall, one broke and down a new one, fresh one that is starting right now. And even today, not just material shortage, not today by going for all the materials for come, we will continue the work. So like yes, the place in part of day, but the work they on, renovation they on, they knock all this and with the errors them. The battle clear all the errors them, pillars them, people are more mature and strong pillars them. So the work is done, sir.
Well, Disaster Management Agency, other body the way responsible for see that while I not be, more like we don't see na so be. Disaster Management Agency ask on food, we to eat one and not go on food, we want. No for count na go na that side na Eastbrook Street at the central party inside Freetown. For make una put system in place for make people not go put their head and say if I be no tomorrow. Well, the Ministry for Well-Body and Sanitary Business don't pull word say for 6-week term, government go lock Connaught Hospital mortuary no for use them at all. Waiting do the ministry say they want put system in place, make the mortuary fine pass how it is so just like other developed countries then where they want go. Well, Jonathan Turner being go fair out and they bring waiting make this so.
I'm Dr. Mark Kapua, the hospital care manager for Connaught Hospital. Today we there for get a press conference, also for hand over the Connaught Hospital mortuary to the contractor them. We don't pull a press release, say we want for change them, we want for modernize them. We don't get new cool room they can inside, but the new cool room they not go inside this kind of building. So we want for do the building, get the building upgrade. And bring some new facilities them now the Connaught Hospital mortuary we not been there. Of course the building, I don't see the condition of the building not too good, even welcoming for I'm not going to even say animal before I say motorman, but so we don't ready for change them. They renovate them to modern standard, change all the tiles them, change all the walls them. We add new rooms, new facilities. And now we get a separate what we call a viewing room. Beside the body go there where people go can see them. We get a teaching hall now. We wait for the teacher student them. We get a cool room, the room beside in the day. Then of course we get a post-mortem room now. They get a separate room beside they get for they do the post-mortem. We don't also add some new services where now post-mortem now we don't get an X-ray machine where the X-ray the body, so not to all body for OP now. So don't try for digitize the place. So we don't talk on the press release. We get other hospitals. For example, we get 34 hospital, we get the police hospital, we get Joey hospital, we then call Chinese hospital. We then get mortuary facilities. So at the meantime, now the people then go, we then embody them there. Connaught Hospital, we see some of the mortuary staff them. We get for the do it, we get for the embalm the body the way they die in Connaught. We keep them for at least 2 days. Then the relatives they go can take them for let them go to other facilities.
They happen for una young good. Not for we no more go SF. We might use it to have people be there or anything can happen. But now for the public good. Waiting be only happen with health infrastructure that over the years we are neglected. We see years of decadence, years of dilapidated status of the health infrastructure. But when you make something, you're not going to make it all one thing. Not so. what they do right now in Connaught, we don't do a lot of things inside hospitals. But the mortuary, beside the post in the end, is very important. And we don't get priority now for making.
More than 36 bodies at any given time. You know, the other thing we'll get for do now for really just work with all the other government institutions, we will help put the pressure down, particularly like the city council. We get for work with the city council for help we bring down the pressure on the mortuary. Yes, because we get a lot of people who we can die with sometimes possibly they come out for them, and we require also for hold that body for a period of time. But we get for now talk to city council for let us help with that side, though they reduce that pressure there. From let them destitute them for the left the mortuary and provide more space for other people as well.
Well, from yonder, passengers them way be there inside Wakafine bus where the number plates na AWD 751. Well, they been get for jump, come out through the window, out of panic around the Okupa community. Well, waiting make them people there so fly come out inside this bus here so or waiting then see. We young colleague when Michael Sebue send this story for you and tell me more.
It was around 9:30 in the morning hours of Wednesday where we see Boku people they come out inside one Wakafine bus where be broke down in front of the Rokupa government hospital. And according to some of the high witness them say the smoke be the suffocates them inside the motorcar, make them jump by the window for come out. And when we try for talk to some of them passengers there, they say the driver fights very hard for open the domot, but the domot they not be the open. So now make them use the other alternative one at the window for come out. And two, by them passenger then yeah, be get small issue where one of them na asthma patient. But fortunately, he be get a medicine with himself where he able for kike up and be able for talk to we use.
When you asthma patient, but I go take it. I don't take the medicine. I be sit down there na the back seat. But I just feel smoke, I choke up. So I be one jump na the window. I'm not able to come and sit. Now jump na the window so. It not be easy for me. I make a say sit down first.
Yes, but how you feel now?
Don't better, so I don't take my medicine.
The second one where be there inside the Rokupa government hospital where they have come inside proactively for rescue this young lady where they're able for put on oxygen. That same moment say where then go to the hospital, but it not be able for talk to we use. But when we be the talk with them, it just be the shaking head say it they feel a little bit better. Other people then tell we what in them see.
Amen. This one, I will steady people that mean and all kind of because we therefore we all need some of the national program. Even now the more they want to go, I'm telling you what they have.
From congrats and I did it. You know, do for it's not other passengers that one can stand. Other can stand. I know who open. People that tell us no go, it's not knowledge. Your problem is
But Wales try for look in depth into the matter where we try for talk to the driver, we not agree for talk to we you try for further the investigation and talk to one of the bossman them for make them tell we what in na the problem, what happened with the motorcar and how this thing happen because every morning therefore they check the motorcar them before then they come out. And when it be they talk to we use now this the manager for safety na the Wakafine company na this it be talk to we use.
Before the motorcar they come on at door, we would not do a two-bus stock, they will do a pre-check, we check all the motorcar. Anywhere we get fault, we will make sure say you know go come on at door. The filter they will check out for let you know go outside because we want for prevent the public, especially with passengers that will get interest over the too much. So like what happened this morning now Rokupa, we get a report from the drivers. But actually the public, the passenger they don't know able to understand, pass will get for explain to them, let them understand. The motorcar where it can where they make the Wakafine motorcar when action Neeland bus, it get 3 fire extinguisher. It get one na the driving side, it get another one na the passenger door side, it get the one na the back. The one where they see na the back na a compression. This one way then at the back is responsible for make sure say any smoke where it detect. If it detect any smoke or any fire or anybody church am, at that time where you not support for church am, then there is a tendency for let explode. Because the reason is if you don't detect fire and I had the engine, it detects a smoke. So if you not blow off them, then there is a tendency for let fire catch. So like what happened this morning at Lokupa, not to fire catch by the motor car. We are not gonna know the reason if somebody church am or it detect a smoke. And when it detect a smoke, it will blow off. We're actually sorry of what happened this morning. I want to tell the passenger they're sorry for what happened. We can get information say even one of the passengers, if you get asthma, we immediately they take her now to Lokupa Hospital. We will try to find out for make sure what happened with them. If any other thing happened with them, they will put her before the management. Then they will decide what they do. But one for telling I say we are sorry of what happened this morning, and also for explain to una for saying the way to be happy today not to fire catch by the motor car.
Not to all smoke where you dey see na fire, and not to all fire they pull smoke. And this one panic make people then run away, come on inside the Waka Fine bus because they be afraid for their life. We use me na Michael Thomas Johnny Sebro.
Well, how we be with our Waka boss in our Okupa community and the Eastern Party side of so where you say we can come back to now. Where from that community we go up the way down at Kenema for updates. The latest happening now with Rion Safamoiba.
Farmwood from one human rights organization, Forum Against Harmful Practices, FAR, they go around the country. They give Kapuse's messages to relevant stakeholders, including the media people them, na the nation, about female genital mutilation cutting. Na Kenema district, the team began for talk to journalists them, na the Sierra Leone Association of Journalists Regional Office along Madabio Street, na Kenema. With some media practitioners them from various media houses there be they in attendance. Rugia Tunene Ture Kuruma, in the chairperson for Forum Against Harmful Traditional Practices, talk this.
We they go round for engage sewers, engage traditional leaders. And specifically in Kenema, the reason why we there today now for all a press conference. Because of waiting happen, now yeah, where somebody come out America. Picking them then at school for take them final exams, he pull them there. Plus others for can put them pan society. It deprive them for continue with their school. It's a crime already, according to the act of the Ministry of Education. And so, waiting with the talk, it's also like you undermine the government, because the government, they look at education for all and then put preference to girl picking them. If you come and pull them there, when you don't picking them there, America, then they go school, you not bring them, come for let them go through the same procedure, and you say you come for promote your culture, I begin to look at you as being selfish. So we come for engage the media, so then go help for propagate this information that this woman will come to America come not to love he can show. Now exploitation and selfishness, and it can abuse the kingdom. And this they happen only to poor families. This is why I am always angry when I talk about this. Because educated families, people with money, they know nobody know they care, then see us to them. Poor families, you see somebody can do. So we they engage, and we don't engage so we did yesterday. Today we engage the media. We they come on here for go engage Kailau. We want for engage for let people then go back. In all of our engagements that we will be do, people and they tell we say, nah, no picking bondo, no picking bondo. Wait. So why all of a sudden the House of Parliament go debate on an act, Child Rights Act, then pull that whole portion with them as members in the training where we be they get with them. Then they tell we say, no, na picking the normal, but woman can go, woman forget rights for go. Why now? Lip service.
For we use Mina Safa B. Moriba, na Kenema District.
From Kenema District, we come Natonia so as the 50-50 group we join on with Project Advocacy Network with support from Christian Aid, done one workshop we get for do with women and girl picking them in the country. Well, Abubakar will be able to witness engagement and send the story for you.
Professor Fadil Makeo, being the president of the 50/50. We are today for a program where they're making tax work for women. And Christian Aid is patrolling for this program in conjunction with Budget Advocacy Network. The purpose of the program is to make tax policies that are accessible and understandable to women. We also camp and tax policies and economic policies often tell women they're not independent. We're not involved in the development, we're not involved in the implementation. So when we decide what we do for bring policy makers, so we get female parliamentarians, we bring civil society groups and come, we bring student representatives and come, for know what the tax policies that we get at the country, for the instant taxation, know the different economic policies we get, and foresee how they can implement, or how they can be involved in implementation, how they can talk what's out through a gender perspective. So they look for watch the policies and see how they impact women and know how to advocate for let women the voices they, but all the policies that we get at this country. We get for the economics for women.
What will be the way forward after this?
So after this, we plan for the parliamentarians inside Parliament, we act that can carry policies and bills that can come, for that they review all of them with an eye towards how it can impact women and men differently, and make sure they can advocate for that they positively impact women. We also need to get civil society activists so they can go out in communities we camp on budgeting, for look at budgets with a gender view, so we can see how the money will be allocated, to make sure that they allocate enough money for interest that women and get impact. So for example, healthcare, school fees, and policies of tax paradise, or even the way that we call the tax paradise, all of it gets impacts on women's lives. So we want that they're able for advocates in the communities, that they put together all the policies and programs and laws that we get from a gender perspective.
Abubakar Tayawali, I work for Budget Advocacy Network as the policy analyst. This workshop today now for letting build the capacity of women civil society actors around gender macroeconomic policies and law them na salon. This get for do with waiting the CSOs and go do for ensure say the law where they don't pass to the parliament, the labor laws, the procurement law, the GW Act, the social security policy, all the laws they also will ensure say there is fairness for let women that be economically empowered in a salon. Let them able to identify and run successful advocacy for the government ensure say there is fairness and equitable distribution of economic resources in the country. As you listen, the facilitator they try to talk about different components, and one of them get to do with economic justice. And they talk about gender budgeting right now. Economic justice means women them for also get access to the national resources as a man that they do. But what in gender budgeting they do now for ensure say deliberately when they plan the budget for make sure say women them, between them, old people, disabled people them also benefit from the budget.
Well, now they make know say Lincoln University of Creative Technology, together with the Association of Bloggers, come together and pull out the waiting and call for the very first time blogging software. And the ceremony will be at the Lincoln University, then campus within a hill station. And then we bring together students, them, journalists, and other people, them. We put on blogging business in the country. How will we be? Well, me company, Esther Sako Bingode, we bring with you fellows.
The exhibition will be happen Tuesday, na more than just display. Na a combination of 14 weeks of intensive learning and applying their knowledge from architectural model and to digital innovation and even film production plus business solution. Then the students and be lead presentation where they reflect the university in emphasis on practical application over theory. According to Iya James, when a deputy campus director, he said them program they prioritize tangible results, where then they include 70% learning outcomes based on practical experience and a 30% theory no more. It be also reference say 70% of the students that will be going to the college where don't graduate don't get work. The exhibition a critical part of the academic journey as they allow the faculty and the students them for assess the effectiveness of their curriculum. Bashar Mohammed Idris be emphasized the importance of this approach where he referred to them as milestone for then the lecturer them as then they sit down and watch the students them showcase what and done they learn inside them 14 weeks here. The Faculty of Media and Communication students them be showcased work them where they range from film production and even documentary them. The head of departments for the media and communication, when Hassan Kamara, be talk said that transformative impact then they do na their own departments. He said then display there na exhibition of how the future of the media na salon get for Tanlek. He talk said the exhibition also for just for let the students can showcase the idea. He said na also term for let them celebrate the students as they don't achieve beaucoup inside the short term. The architecture student them be exhibit beaucoup in them way people they reimagine when a domestic and even public space. The head of department when a Gerard Masasoli Sisebi say the students then be designed guard house where then they call police posts, domestic host them, gallery, furniture, and then they even make lights all waiting and do so now from scratch. The students themselves will be the part of this exhibition, be glad for this kind of opportunity for them for publicly display waiting and learn throughout the semester. Then points to the exhibition as way for validate their work and they give them chance to gain critical feedback from them company students them, lecturer them, and even people where they come up from other industry them. As the 1 week exhibition done they go, the students that they expect say it go attract prospective employers them, entrepreneur and policy maker them, we go offer them with first-hand look of the future of innovation at this country. For we use, Mina Esther Sakode report.
Well, this same university also been same way so officially launched them end of semester exhibition where their students also they go showcase them different talents them in all the departments. Well, Esther Sakode again send the story for me.
Well, now with this we can take a break, after which we'll continue the program Waves.
Welcome back to the second half of the program, We Use. Well, from this break here, so we will continue the rest of the program. We will go back again at Kenema. Join Sapa Moriba for we plenty of updates within the bin at Kenema.
Once I heard from Buna Salon, Mankind Activities for Development Accreditation Movement, Madam Sierra Leone, where they get support from European Union, they go around the country, they give Kapusen messages to TV instructors then, so that when they go back in the classroom, they go give the knowledge to the one that where they trained. Na Kenema City, the engagement began to take place na the Opportunity Training Center Conference Hall along Maxwell Kobe Street, na Kenema. Abba Sheku Yontrai, the project manager, Madam Sierra Leone, explain.
Me na the project manager for the Classroom to Commerce project when a European Union funded grant where we implement in consortium with two other partners. One part of the partners in Humanist Watch Sierra Leone, where they're based in Kenema, and we get the other one when Kofuta Development Association, where they based in Bombali. So we implement this project together with them. Of course, we are sure what they work for when I will implement Madame Sierra Leone, mankind's activity for development accreditation movement. Madame now will implement the project na Bo, whilst Humanis will implement and Kenima, then the Roda will implement na Bombali. This project now a 3 years project where we get from the European Union, where we don't start already since December 2024. Now we signed the grant and the project will end November 2027.
Okay, what really want to achieve?
The overall aim of this project now for make we contribute to youth unemployment in Sierra Leone through technical and vocational skills graduates then. Because now then we work with a target of 2,200, inclusive the 100 TVET instructors and also 100 university graduates where we get for send them on the internship. So we work with that TVET graduate and for make really facilitate job and employment for them.
For we use Mina Safabi Moriba na Kenya.
Well, from Kenema, we come back inside the city. One organization, when I empower growth organization, don't bring together different business people and train them for make their business will go and for do their own to the country. Well, how this training for the business people they may be? Well, Taylor Williams and Aminata Sai saving go and bring this story.
So Anthony, being the founder and CEO of SACG Limited, a consulting firm way involved in training, leadership development, corporate governance, and also business development. The training very important, critical for the development of Sierra Leone. As a member of business professional women, we organize this training here for business women. Now, a training where they train we for train other women and people in business development skills and how to make sure so they develop their businesses properly and formalize them and take them forward. So it entails a whole lot of things. And where as the training just starts today, we look at finances, we look at the skills we require for entrepreneurial competencies, we look at what's necessary businesses for start, and the difference between that and innovative businesses and waiting at the differences and how we can assess them way before do this work here.
My name is Antonia Karamakoka. I'm the president of Business Professional Women, the Freetown chapter. So Business Professional Women, an organization started by a woman just for empower women in the space, advocacy in different areas for just empower women, basically equal pay, all that. So abroad they've done a lot of policies. So they're based in all the continents and then 112 countries. This morning we the chapter of Freetown, which is PPW, get a partnership with UNIDO, ITPO Bahrain. They're based in Bahrain. So they have a program called the EDIP model, which they started off in the Middle East, and they've transferred to different countries. So due to that, we worked in collaboration with Saudi Arabia and we set up, so there's a microfinance bank. So basically, due to that, when we train people like fishing women and all that, they then go for like microfinance and all that. So those were all part of our intervention, Freetown, under the program.
Well, for Mianda, the Dakva Islamic Organization don't celebrate the 10-year anniversary from when they start. Inside this anniversary celebration year, so the executive member them being get for showcase their financial budget to the entire membership of the organization. Well, after the celebration, the founder was same way so now the chairman of this organization here, when Alhaji Abdul Rahman Jallo being talk more to Tutekwashi inside this interview.
Today mark a 10-year. We invite the first 100 members for let me come like reflect upon what we achieved for the last 10 years, what are the key successes, what are the challenges that we see we don't face, and same way so we want to look at waiting on the way forward. Now that we don't 10 years, what next? Because we want to sustain this organization.
Then, what we don't give challenges then over the past 10 years that we have done?
Well, over the past 10 years, one of the key challenges we don't get now mobility. As a charity organization, we must not reach the unreachable. One for good and then community, them way, people they really suffer. Say lots of people, they struggle for get bare minimum, but you get people where they suffer really, where they to those extreme ends, so now they're our primary target. And for good and then places that they, for we get motor car, easy, we don't get motor car at all. So mobility has been a challenge. Sometimes we can go because the road bad, pass we park the motor car, and we go with some supplies, pass we total and we self enter the community. Another key challenge over the years now for take care of the administration. As an Islamic charity organization, people they donate 20 more than care for now how you don't support the orphan, how you don't support the widow, how much school you don't be. But you don't say staff the day, people are doing the work, but then people you have to take care of them, you have to pay them salary or their stipend. You get office space where you rent, you have to pay for rent, you get internet facility, you get communication. So all of these forget money for the admin is very difficult because the donation where they come, not only 25% before use for admin purposes, where if you're enough, but however, because the donation where they come small, that 25% they know enough for give stipend to staff them, take care of the office. So for really run the office on the administrative base, it has been a challenge.
Then when I go to how to reach places there, what are the development active in them places? So
in some of these communities, I will tell you, we don't build schools. So like inside Falaba, na Mansofinia, now one time they struggle for school, and one way school we did. So the Muslim community reach out to we and to support. We able to start the foundation and they like today and get a school day. Same also another hard to reach community will go now. We also construct a school day as well. We don't know the door and now we open in this September. And most of these community where they go, the woman they will lose, the man they will, and the widows them, we don't reach out to them with food and non-food items over the last 10 years, and also we don't support them with cash as well.
Then we all what you have been which you have utilized all of them money, their resources, and they will not get.
So of all these years, the money that we done together, we go check for the last 10 years, what we don't raise as an organization, now over 4,700,000. What we don't do with the money there, so we don't reach out, to community level in 6 areas of intervention. Number 1, education. Number 2, now widow and orphan support. Number 3, now relief and emergency support. Number 4, now water aid. Number 5, now health support. All of them areas, there are people that they can sick, they want to travel, go abroad, we don't support them. Other side, the way these people that can get some challenges, we also don't reach out to them, and we don't support them, we don't give them what they say they want.
So, what's your own personal message to all other people? Sometimes some organizations they want rule the count of them. What's the magic behind that?
All right, I think the thing is just for do transparency and accountability. One thing we don't make with it for 10 years, we make sure say where people are giving money, not to we money. We make sure say we tell them say, but the money don't donate, and this we don't get. We show them what we don't do. Now make they snap every tweet they do. Well, we show them so that this don't make we don't get it to us. So to upcoming organizations, let them do the same. And we also they call on people out there. We don't say organizations they don't pass their own and not trust. We make when people they come charity, now they think how are we will give this, and only the money they give and then they go use up.
Now that time for we go now with Sports Table and join Joey and Dumbuya for updates on the sports so far.
According to we masters, the people and we know about sports business can say if fine for make we organize sports and we communicate them from term to term because this they bring people them together and they make them for be physically and mentally fit and it provide great opportunity for you to man them. And they also build a community. These at times can reduce idleness from youth mandem. For second this, we make HA retired Brigadier Julius Mada Bio inter-area sports organization. They organize them first inter-area sports in the community. According to them, this staff appreciate President Bio in good work and for promote youth mandem Kola 3 community within Allentown by Calbaton. And so then we get 3 houses where na yellow, white and blue. This staff come with love and unity in the community. Councillor Mustafa Bundo for constituency 113 say this staff come with love and unity in the community so that youth mandem go pull their mind for the do bad thing elective and also pull in mind for the take harmful drugs them like kush and tramadol.
Ministers, honorables, presidents.
When I attempt for me to send the microphone them back to Una for Una, which time we don't send on the program, but you two not feel about some of the story them have been with me and co.
Yes, I will be the first one. We say we use. It's a tell God thank you. Kungoton, nobody know that they sleep. Well, the people that will tap there before taking them, and authorities are concerned for look at that community a quick one.
Well, this person also say, I don't know if the Ministry for Health and Sanitation will keep to waiting and say, for lock mortuary, government mortuary for 6 weeks, we hope and pray say them will stick to that 6 week day, making up past 6 weeks because life then go for Bob and buy alone or wish for that. Come out from Auntie Caroline, na teacher, na Brooklands, na Brookfields.
Well, so I say, we use. It's the work I find boss them, so they need for the check them well every day before they go na treat. If they come out with concerned person.
That house, I talk am back, that house na Eastbrook Street, Central Party inside Freetown. You want attention. The body wey responsible disaster management agency, una know with certain life loss, so una go one ten na Eastbrook Street for go turn attention. Fence side put them people then leave, you know get side for tap now. You come out from Christiana, it's up na Hillcourt Road.
He said, I say, Wales. He said, the rain will come this evening term. He said, a big and heavy for we. He said, we hope say all man safe na the country, and they come to Fanta and Aberdeen.
Kube people lay on their knees now, they pray safe for medicine and begin, they not cry more like all that time. We not continue for prayer and fast. Not the waiting, we not supposed to do. For keep the place clean so flooding will be history. No, you say come out from Ebu na Gloucester village.
You said one say Papa government, he say you need for Tina Tranga one and go to that side before that house they collapse. Make tomorrow we not say if we be no, if they come out from Muhammad Kondo na Kumai.
Waiting me understand by model slide na that they don't take in court and cause wala. Who say next it will be? For hope we are anytime when they come, they both go like I they do so. Do you let we know they sleep like for saying that guys sleep half. Wake up. So anyway, while I will come, we not go there inside it. Well, it come out from Isabella within our Bilkisi Road.
You said one say, he say we use for saying a Congoton no more same disaster. If you know be up Congoton, it will be done Congoton. Waiting again. Yeah, may God sorry for the people and wait up that side. They come out from Suri, now Waterloo.
When I know I'm your last one, before I go to your last one, supposing the axe. When we get for care with the body, then go na the mortuary na 34 or something like King Tom Hospital or Cooper. Waiting go happen and go treat me like how them they treat me now. The mortuary in a Connaught Hospital, I don't know that one, Sammy, that one they come out from Yvonne na Hillcourt Road.
Well, this way so in say we use we are on a go work na Moiba community. That place there na other side where government for some attention. For me, quite a disaster, no be there again. And
disaster no go be the just no inshallah. But I'm afraid that we would use now as final drop na this edition of the program where you can tune on the country other country when I SLB television screen better so channel 31. Plenty thank you to all me who commit they all put their hands on deck for make this production come fine like I can find so. The producer for this production na Joya Dumbuya. Who represent the program, me and Kona. And you are Toronka? Raymond Fox na me nomenclature. We sense word for today say, me le ju farina like good soul poke. Tata.
To freedom. A place cannot produce poems. It can only not prevent them. And Freetown is good at that, for Freetown has its own sudden elegances. People are slow to leave it, quick to return. And there are others who come for a year or two and stay for a lifetime, sensing that they've found a city that is in the world, yet sufficiently on the edge of it to have a different resonance. Let me tell you something about this city. All of us, we're all just passing through, and we've all been here forever. Those who came, those who stayed, those who never returned. Tides turn, seasons change, we've waited and we've watched. But we've always been here. We've always listened, because there is a different resonance here. It comes from the river, and the land, and the sky.
It's our place, all of us.
This city belongs to everyone.
Elegances. People are slow to leave it, quick to return. And there are others who come for a year or two and stay for a lifetime, sensing that they've found a city that is in the world, yet sufficiently on the edge of it to have a different resonance. Let me tell you something about this city. All of us, we're all just passing through, and we've all been here forever. Those who came, those who stayed, those who never returned. Tides turn, seasons change, we've waited and we've watched. But we've always been here. We've always listened, because there is a different resonance here. It comes from the river, and the land, and the sky.
It's our place, all of us.
This city belongs to everyone.
And you know when it's your time.
And it's our time.
Listen, we are Freetown.
The golden rules of Freetown.
Don't pretend you're something that you're not.
Don't go thinking you're better than anyone else, or that anyone else is better than you.
Don't shout about it. Get on with it.
We are Freetown.
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 Yeah.
We found our voice again.
I'm from India and Freetown.
I'm from China and Freetown.
I'm from the UK and Freetown.
I am from Nigeria and Freetown.
I am from home and Freetown.
This city belongs to everyone.
The fishermen,
the taxi driver,
the barber,
the drummers, the dancers.
All of us.
All of us. Everybody. We are Freetown.
The past is ours.
The future is ours. It's our time again.
And this city belongs to everyone.
The playwright,
the greengrocer,
the teacher,
the dog.
This space is ours.
This light is ours.
The beaches are ours. The rivers now we own.
The roads are ours.
The bridges now we own.
We are Freetown.
We are all visitors, and we've all been here forever.
We've got the mightiest river
and the biggest sky.
And there's a resonance again.
Freetown. Freetown.
We are
welcome to News Hour. Coming up in this edition, President Bio welcomes a high-level delegation from IFAD and Director General of the Bill Gates Foundation at State House. Sierra Leone Police updates the media on the boats recently watched a show at the Hamilton Beach. And Connaught Hospital mortuary to undergo refurbishment after 20 years. All these stories and more lined up in this edition of the news. My name is Daphne Zainab Kamara. First on News Hour tonight, President Julius Maada Bio has welcomed a high-level delegation from IFAD and the Director General of the Bill Gates Foundation at State House. Let's join Hawa Mosire for more.
The delegation is in Sierra Leone on a 3-day working visit to discuss partnerships under the Feed Salon initiative. Since the launch of the Feed Salon, several partners have shown interest in supporting the projects. Minister of Agriculture Henry Musa Parker told President Bio that many partners want to contribute, especially through capacity building and technical support. He emphasized that more hands and partnerships will be needed to achieve long-term success. Vice President of IFAD, Geraldine Mushkasima, highlighted key areas for government's focus as the president completes his second term.
Just adding on what Enoch said, our experience is there is no blueprint, there is no magic design you can take out of a drawer for agricultural success, as I'm sure you're very aware, Excellency. So much of it revolves around political leadership, institutional context. So Ethiopia was a very good example, but it was also very specific to Ethiopia. I think what we're hoping to be able to do through the AATI is take some of the ingredients for success and then translate them to different political and policy environments, because, as I say, there's no blueprint. And that's why we're very excited on Sierra Leone with your vision, with your leadership. I think Feed Salon is fantastic. We were just sitting in the ministry, in the meeting room there, and the 6 pillars were up behind us, and you can only agree with all of them. So I think we're here hoping to help you deliver on that.
President Bio thanked the delegation and commended their interest in Sierra Leone's food security efforts.
We are ambitious, we are eager, but in the process of, you can have a vision, you can have the political will, and everything, and still miss the road. And that is what we don't want to do. And that is where you come in. With the wealth of knowledge that you have in this sector, I think if we work closely, there's no way we are going to miss it. It might take a longer time because there are other things that are not entirely under our control. This information for a successful transformation in this sector, it must be part of the people. They should know it intimately and not somebody leaving the city here and telling them, this is the time you plant, this is the seed. They should know themselves. And how do we successfully take all of what you have said, simplify them, and take this information to them? This is the biggest problem.
The International Fund for Agricultural Development, IFAD, is a UN agency focused on ending poverty and hunger in rural communities across the developing world. For SABC TV News in Freetown, Hawa Mosire reporting.
The head of media, Sierra Leone Police, Assistant Commissioner of Police ACP Brima Kamara, has said that the police, together with the Hamilton community people, has conducted a preliminary search on the boats recently washed ashore at the Hamilton beach for any illegal materials. ACP Kamara, who was updating the media at the police weekly press briefing, said investigations are still ongoing. Abdul Mansari tells us more.
According to ACP Kamara, nothing of police interest was found after the police and the community people conducted a preliminary search on the boats. He assured the public that the police will continue its investigations, noting the police will not leave any stone unturned.
Thoroughly they searched the boat, but honestly, at the end of it all, there was nothing of police interest, nothing of security concern. And don't forget to be a search the boat. The committee never did it. If I didn't at the scene before we reached it.
AIG Francis Mendy, Freetown East Region, told his audience that they cleared the Eastern Police axis, stating armed robbery, fraud, and illegal possession of firearms were among the cases they are currently investigating. The head of CID, ACP Aliu Jallo, said they are presently investigating some people who were caught by the police with firearms, including pistols with over 40 live rounds and cartridges, money doubling, and forging of documents of different MDAs, police clearance, and birth certificates, among others. Director of Operations, AIG Dr. John Senesi, said the weapons that were arrested were not from the police, neither the military, stating they will trace the owners of such weapons. SLBC News, Abdul Mansari reporting.
The Ministry of Health and Sanitation has announced the temporary closure of the mortuary at the Connaught Hospital Central Freetown. The closure, according to the hospital's management, was part of their upgrading the mortuary to modern standards. Jonathan Turner was there and now reports.
According to authorities, the existing Connaught Hospital mortuary was last renovated over 20 years ago. The cool room and freezer were outdated and not fit for modern post-mortem care. This critical upgrade, they said, will help to uphold dignity for the dead and improve overall mortuary standards. While the Connaught mortuary undergoes renovation, the government has negotiated with the 34 military hospital, Jue Chinese Hospital, and Police Hospital to temporarily handle civic and medical legal corpses. Also, embalming services at Connaught will continue during the transition, but families were given a 2-day window to collect deceased bodies of their loved ones after being embalmed. Deputy Chief Medical Officer, Ministry of Health, Dr. Mustafa Kaba, underscored that the intervention is part of a broader national plan to modernize the country's mortuary services, improve service delivery, and ensure the respectful handling of the deceased. Connaught Hospital's care manager, Dr. Ibrahim Makapua, welcomed the development, noting that the mortuary upgrade will happen alongside other ongoing improvements at the hospital, including the solar energy system and enhancement to the radiology department.
I'm very happy as the head of the institution. I'm very happy to be at the helm of affairs whilst we're having this development, because I think our country needs it, our people need it. We need to improve our services that we are providing. So upgrade. So we're having new cold rooms and we're having new mortuary equipment that will be here. So we're renovating the building. Once we renovated, because we wanted to have a befitting status.
During the renovation, specific areas were slated for demolition and improvements. These include a complete overhaul of the cold storage facility to ensure temperature reliability, a viewing room, a kitchen hall, and other structural integrity. For SLBC News, Jonathan Turner reporting.
A member of the Parliamentary Committee on Health in Parliament, Honorable Alice Sandy, has said immunization continues to be one of the most cost-effective means to protect the population, especially children and other vulnerable groups. She was speaking at the end of a 3-day session to review and validate the national immunization policy held at the Doas Hotel, Bo City. Thomas Neal has more.
This national immunization policy is a revised version of the 2002 edition. It is intended to guide all categories of stakeholders, including immunization service providers, policy and decision makers, administrators, managers, government agencies, and health development partners engaged in the provision of immunization services in Sierra Leone. Member Committee on Health in Parliament, Honorable Alice Sandy, commended the Ministry of Health, its technical development partners, especially Focus 1000, for organizing such an important program, adding that the 3-day engagement marks a critical step in reviewing the national immunization policy, which was originally endorsed by Parliament in 2023. She said the review is a process that demonstrates their shared commitment to keep the health policy responsive, inclusive, and aligned with global best practices, indicating that as parliamentarians they remain committed to ensure this policy is effectively implemented, adequately resourced, and backed by strongly legislative oversight. Honorable Alice Sandy commended all stakeholders for their active contributions throughout the process and encouraged continued collaboration as they work towards a healthy and resilient nation. A representative of the Ministry of Health, Margaret Manna, pointed out that the ministry is pleased with the review of the policy, which she described as not only timely but will address the health policy on immunization and will also support the ministry in its drive to reduce death among children and other vulnerable groups. She maintained that the document is also a step towards attaining the Sustainable Development Goals on health as well as universal health coverage, adding that the policy will ensure there is access and use to quality vaccines, stipulated categories. Officer in charge, Focus 1000, Yusufu Kagbo, said Sierra Leone has been plagued by Ebola, COVID-19 and Mpox, but with all of these diseases, robust action from the Ministry of Health together with partners who came on board to see how they can mitigate and address all of these public health concerns. He said his organization, through the support of partners like MasterCard, Africa, CDC and AMREF Health, realized that the process to develop an approach to solve the immunization issue will not be complete if the policy is not reviewed and validated. This policy has taken into consideration the holistic range of issues inherent and pertinent to the delivery of quality immunization services in a manner that is ethical, accessible, and acceptable to all eligible beneficiary populations in Sierra Leone. This comprises the acquisition, distribution, transportation, storage, and administration of a variety of vaccines currently in the program. The revised policy will also provide guidelines on the introduction of new vaccines into the immunization program.
Many schools in rural areas lack basic furniture to make learning easy and comfortable. The case is not different even in urban centers, where some schools and institutions of higher learning had to go on double shift due to sparsely available furniture. To surmount these challenges and also to contribute to access to quality education, the United Nations Development Programme UNDP has launched the Supporting Action to Education project with funding from China Aid worth about $2 million. The project aims to provide over 14,000 furniture sets to schools and institutions of higher learning. Dennis Fraser reports.
Advisor to His Excellency the President on Human Capital Development, now officially launched.
The scene depicts the launch of the Supporting Action to Education through the provision of furniture to schools and institutions of higher learning in order to promote access to quality education in Sierra Leone by the Presidential Advisor on Human Capital Development, Professor Alpha Tijan Wuri. Putting the support into perspective, the Presidential Advisor on Human Capital Development, Professor Alpha Wuri, who doubles as an experienced educationist, said the country has come a long way in terms of challenges faced in the educational sector, and access to furniture was one among many. He went on that although the government has invested a lot in improving infrastructure in some schools and universities, they can't succeed without the effort of development partners.
What I'm trying to say is that we have economic position is difficult. The project is holding our hands for a short period of time, giving us the safe environment that we want for us to use our brains and ensure we can get it right.
According to the United Nations Development Programme Resident Coordinator, Frederick Ampere, the launch of the Transformative Initiative, which strategically aligned with Sustainable Development Goal 4, was a clarion call on the need for realization of different sectors coming together to boost human capital development.
This project also brings into sharp focus the need and the realization of different ministries coming together and making something happen for the good people of this country. And I want to commend the two ministers here for working together with us and the government of China to make sure that this project is becoming a reality.
The Chinese ambassador to Sierra Leone, Wang Chi, said the partnership between China and Sierra Leone signals a unique commitment to put children and young people first when considering human capital development, a pledged commitment for developing the education sector and other areas.
Thirdly, our commitment to education and human capital development cooperation. We believe that education can bring extensive and far-reaching benefits to a country.
Other speakers spoke on the significance of the project in broadening skills capacity base, while noting that education is not only a right but a foundation of human capital development, hence the need to invest in quality education. SLBC, Dennis Fraser reporting.
The Resilient Urban Sierra Leone project, together with the Ministry of Lands and Country Planning, has engaged the Bombali, Hoidu, New Sembehong and Port Loko City Councils on cities' special plans. The engagement, which is supported by the World Bank, unveiled the secondary cities' special plans for the inputs and contribution. Let's join Hassan Fore Kamara for Makeni.
The structure plan of the city. It is also the capacity building report for the 6 cities as well.
Stakeholders' engagements, interaction with councils to ascertain their needs, and further consultations with related entities gave birth to this formidable draft plan that prompted the meeting. Addressing attendees, the Director of Country Planning, Sir Makanawa, said for far too long cities have operated without guiding structural plans, which has led to uncoordinated development, unplanned settlement, environmental degradation, and poor land use. He said the development have compounded traffic congestion and pitiable infrastructure.
And we all know that in the absence of plans like these, investment opportunities are often lost or misdirected. So in response to all these, the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Country Planning, with the support from World Bank through the Urban Resilience Project, is preparing what we call a structural plan for 6 municipalities. Our objective is to, 1, ensure that every city grows in a planned manner, secondly, coordinated manner, and thirdly, in a sustainable manner.
He said they have already tendered a new bill to Parliament, which has gone through first and second readings, and now with the Parliamentary Committee for Lands, adding that once it became law, it would replace the 1946 Act. Council representatives expressed the willingness to participate in the process at all levels.
You saw what they presented, that there are areas within Makeni that are unserved, and these areas constitute part of the urban sprawl. So because of their part of the constitution of the urban sprawl, what the project did was to bring them on board so that when there is going to be a boundary redistriction or expansion of the boundary, then these people will be catered for.
Fortunately for us, Port Loko is a very new city. We have all the opportunity, there are land spaces, there are opportunities that we can go around to make use to make that city a very beautiful city. That one that will be very admirable to so many.
This partial plan has adequately given us the data that we need for every investment plan. Investment plan in terms of diversification of our economy, for mining to agriculture, by restoration of land or mine out areas, investment plan in terms of flood mitigation, investment plan in terms of greening of the city or tree planting to mitigate climate change, investment plan for us to have adequate water supply in the municipality for social amenities, schools and healthcare facilities.
The structural plans for cities would present usable and realistic approaches that could control and shape the future for sustainable development.
Residents of Regent community have called on the government for swift intervention to curb the overflow of water whenever it rains. This call came after many residents left their homes, whilst others remain in fear for the safety of their families during torrential downpour. Moses Conte was at the community and now reports.
Regent is a mountain community in the Western Area Rural District of Sierra Leone and one of the earliest colonial settlements, founded in 1812 to provide accommodation for some of the liberated Africans who had been brought to Freetown by the British Royal Navy West Africa Squadron. Due to its location, most of its water runoff streams down to the Regent's Bridge. But over the years, diverse activities, mainly infrastructural, have been going on in the community, which has affected the main water runway.
Due to the massive structure and construction that have been going on in the swamp, it has led to the diversion of the water from its original access to the mainstream.
According to Karim Fortune, a youth in the Regent community, one of the main reasons for the overflow is the presence of mud and garbage coming from the hills, which in turn fills up the water runway.
The people in the building hoses are up, so the job dirty, sending the water, the gravel don't come flow.
According to Mayama Kamara, a resident at Regent's community, they have not been experiencing such a situation, but since the construction of the main Regent Road, they did not make any provision for a spacious bridge, which has become a major cause of flooding.
But from what we notice, from where they make this IMAT road, we go grafting. Now we see say Regent don't well.
I have stayed here for a long time. Such occurrence was not happening before. But since the construction of the main Regent Road, our community started to overflow due to construction of tight clustered bridge.
Because we really strain. Because, for example, if rain can and net, we want for come up for go work, now money or for go school, we know they get away for path.
A businesswoman at the Regent car park, Mamusu Bangura, said when there is a heavy downpour, the bridge overflows and light vehicles don't have access to pass, much less pedestrians.
They able for sit down pass with now put the engage for this wall yourself. The water they can all over now.
During the rains, we couldn't sit but stand throughout. The water, when overflows, take over the environment and the entire bridge. This has posed serious threats not only to pedestrians but vehicles also.
Most of the residents living within this environment couldn't afford to stay in their homes whenever there is a heavy downpour.
The people of Regent's community haven't received any intervention amidst several pleas, but are still calling on appropriate authorities for swift action, fearing the potential of massive destruction whenever there is a heavy downpour. Moses Conte, SLBC.
Some residents of Kube community have commended the Freetown City Council for recent cleaning exercises, noting a significant reduction in flooding in certain parts of the area. However, others living around the back of Commerce Nursing School say flood waters from nearby drainage systems are still affecting their homes. Esther Nene Kamara visited the area and filed in this report.
Kube is one of the most flood-prone communities in Freetown. Every rainy season, residents in this community brace themselves for disaster. I came to the community to find out whether they've already experienced flooding this year and what the current situation is like. Following recent clean-up exercises by the Freetown City Council in Kube community, some residents have reported improvement in flood control this rainy season. They said, unlike previous years, they have not experienced flooding since the rains began, a development they attribute to the timely cleaning of drainages by the council.
Well, we so tell them thank you because right now no flooding already take place right now.
We want to say thank you to Freetown City Council because we are not having flooding now. We appreciate the mayor for the cleaning exercise and the tricycle they brought to carry the waste.
We even get some tricycle and we then count for the clean the community for we.
Some areas they did affect, but we are the up here.
It mostly affects those that are down. For us here, the water affects us but doesn't enter our homes. But since the road was destroyed, we are really struggling, especially with mud flow. We are calling on authorities concerned to construct the road for us.
However, not all areas have seen relief. Residents living behind College of Medicine and Allied Health Sciences Commerce Nursing School say they continue to suffer from flooding. According to them, water from drainage systems at Wellington Street, Samba Gutter and the Crocodile Gutter still flows into their homes whenever it rains, leaving them vulnerable and frustrated.
If rain can, the water they jump, they get flooding.
If it rains heavily, it floods here. Unless we leave our homes and find somewhere to sleep and protect ourselves. We have experienced flooding twice this year. Even last night, the whole compound floods.
Even yesterday, now God, He can't make this last. All long take over.
We they wander from the college, they come with heavy speed.
The water coming from the college is heavy and comes with force. Sometimes it enters my house and caused the place to flood. As I stand here, I just took 2 doses of cold injection. I'm calling on authorities concerned to build the wall for me.
If they make the wall high for me more, go now over 150,000 for one bag cement.
Despite the mixed experiences, community chiefs have praised Mayor Yvonne Akisoya and a team for their intervention. They acknowledge that while some households are still battling with floods, the situation has improved in many parts of the community compared to previous years.
For them past years, tell Master thank you.
We stand with the same. It's like the cleaning that is ongoing in the community is causing the area not to flood as it used to be in previous years. Drainages like Samba Gutter, Wellington Street, that pass through the nursing school and the Crocodile Gutter coming from St. John are the major reason for the flooding in some zones.
They called on the Freetown City Council and relevant authorities to extend the drainages and cleaning efforts to other affected zones, especially areas closer to the nursing school, to ensure the entire community is safe from flooding throughout the raining season. For SABC, Estanene Kamara reporting.
A mudslide disaster struck Bronze Lane in the Congo Town community following heavy rainfall. Though no lives were lost, several homes and properties were destroyed. Let's join Nandewa Toronka.
In the early hours of Tuesday, this unfortunate event occurred as a result of a heavy downpour, leaving residents devastated. Though no lives were lost, the damage on their properties were extensive and dozens of families were forced to abscond as muddy water and rocks crashed down into their homes.
Now the scramble say fire because they sleep.
We thank God nobody died, but everything inside our house is gone. The water and rock just came with force.
Then I one stone first for them, then later now the big one for them back.
The victims pointed fingers at those residing in the upper communities, which situation got worse due to a blocked waterway in the area, allegedly obstructed by an individual, causing the water to divert and trigger the slide.
Man, we know say na Creole man, na can cut the road for the water no the rondo again.
We have been complaining about this blockage. Now look what's happening. The whole place is not safe anymore.
You understand? You don't cut, you don't bank, you don't make string one to around. So the water now they divert.
Now, even as the rain subsides, danger still looms. Large rocks and mud remain hanging above their rooftops, threatening another possible slide.
We are afraid of
the unknown, and now we are living in fear.
But the community is not waiting. Youths have taken the lead, working tirelessly to clear the debris and prevent further disaster.
When we sleep on that, we can get because of the rain. Where the rain they can heavy, let one day other one no come out for them.
We are doing what we can, but we need support. We don't want to wait until our lives are lost.
So let anybody no come out one day where people are spending back and so.
With more rains expected in the coming days, residents here are living in fear. All efforts were made to get the side of the accused persons, but to be unavailable.
We are here at the site. We noticed that in the early hour of Tuesday, there was a rock here. As you can see, there's the mud which led to the disaster due to the downpour, but no death was reported, and the residents are calling on authorities to act fast to prevent further disaster. For SLBC, Nandewa Tuwanka reporting here at Bonslin, Congo Town community.
Well, this is News Hour coming to you live on SLBC Television in Freetown. We continue with more stories. The Ministry of Agriculture has hosted a meeting focused on the African Agricultural Transformation Initiative led by the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security. The meeting held at the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security Conference Room underscored Sierra Leone's commitment to enhancing its agricultural strategies alongside Tanzania, both of which were selected for their clear visions and actionable plans in agriculture. Our reporter, Christiana Kamara, has more.
The meeting brought together leaders and technical experts from the Agricultural Transformation Offices in Sierra Leone and Tanzania, the founding partners of African Agricultural Transformation Initiative, International Fund for Agricultural Development, Alliance for a Green Revolution in Africa, and the Gates Foundation to review progress, share lessons, and chart a course for the next phase of agricultural transformation. During the press conference, the partnerships were said to be a catalytic mechanism that allows for a faster and efficient delivery of the feed salon. The initiative is not a project but a long-term mechanism to enhance capabilities and delivery, aims to provide the tools, processes, and expertise necessary to implement the agricultural visions. Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Dr. Henry Musa Kpaka, expressed gratitude for the opportunity to host the AATI Steering Committee. He emphasized the crucial support from key partners, including the Gates Foundation, African Agricultural Foundation Initiative, International Fund for Agricultural Development, and the Alliance for a Green Revolution.
This is not a project. This is a mechanism to allow us to be better, to quicken delivery, to where we have blind spots as a ministry, or where we don't have capabilities to drive things in the system, that this agency, this office will have the capability to be able to work with trade, finance, Bank of Sierra Leone to drive things for us.
The meeting featured a presentation by Director of Agricultural Development Gates Foundation, Enoch Chikava, who highlighted the importance of demand-led development. He noted that the selection of Sierra Leone and Tanzania was based on their well-defined agricultural strategies. Associate Vice President, Department of Country Operations at International Fund for Agricultural Development, reiterated a strong vision and leadership of Sierra Leone's president, emphasizing the collaboration among the four institutions involved in AATI. Executive Director of AATI, Safia Boli, expressed pride in returning to Sierra Leone and stressed the need for continuous engagement with both the government and industry stakeholders.
One, we need to further strengthen the ATO as a team, bring in additional skill sets that will be useful for the implementation of the feed salon strategy. And the second part is, within those skill sets, strengthen the ones that will be for the two key priorities, the agricultural finance mechanism, agricultural bank, that we would like to help and support, drive, be a catalytic pulse for it, but also understand better from the farmers what are the requirements to drive the rice value chain.
The establishment of an agricultural transformation organization was focused on co-designing specific programs to advance the ministry's work. SLBC News in Freetown, Christian Akamara reporting.
The Ministry of Planning and Economic Development and UNICEF have met to brainstorm on designing a dashboard to track the progress made in implementing the medium-term National Development Plan 2024 to 2030. Deputy Minister Moped, Reverend Jonathan Titus Williams, described the initiative as an investment in governance to enhance service delivery and accountability. Joseph Toure witnessed the event at the Atlantic Hotel in Freetown.
Government launched the Medium-Term National Development Plan 2024 to 2030 last year. Since then, various MDAs have from time to time presented data on progress made on its implementation. However, the traditional methods of providing such data have come with some challenges like not meeting deadlines, inconsistencies, and in some cases, data presented were not reflecting on the ground. So, this platform that brought critical minds from MDAs was to give inputs in designing a dashboard to track progress made in implementing the national plan. UNICEF Chief Planning and Monitoring Officer Sierra Leone, Dr. Robert Indamobosi, said the software would give access to real-time evidence of progress being made without going through difficult processes.
Having the president will have in his on his desk the vice president, the chief prime minister, all ministers, all development partners, media citizens on their desk access to real-time, evidence about progress being made by the country vis-à-vis those national development. I feel this is a very key investment for which we have full support from UNICEF.
He added it would also show the impact of development partners' investment in Sierra Leone. Deputy Development Secretary Moped Usman Conte said when developed would display key projects data in a concise and accessible format. He also noted it would provide reliable, credible and timely data that would inform government's decision-making. Crowning it, Deputy Minister Moped, Reverend Jonathan Titus Williams, described the initiative as the backbone and roadmap to achieve government's Big Five game changers.
Currently, tracking progress of which involves fragmented data, manual processes, and delays. The solution is the MTNDP Performance Dashboard, our national control room. The design of this MTNDP Performance Dashboard is a strategic necessity, not merely a technical task. We envision it becoming Sierra Leone's development control room, a single authoritative real-time view of the MTNDP implementation status at national, sectorial, and district levels.
It was expected that the few days of discussion and expert input would bring about not only the software to track progress on the national plan, but build a tool that propels Sierra Leone forward. SLBC, Joseph Toure reporting.
Lincoln Queen University of Creative Technology, in partnership with the Sierra Leone Association of Bloggers, has launched the first ever blogging software. The unveiling, held at the university campus, brought together students, media practitioners, and key players in the blogging industry. Esther Sako tells us more.
The newly launched platform, developed by students of Lincoln Queen University, aimed to tackle some of the biggest challenges faced by bloggers in Sierra Leone, chief among them the spread of unverified information and lack of monetization. This software is expected to be a game changer, especially in this digital age where new media is rapidly shaping public opinion. Abubakar Kamara, one of the students developers, said the platform will help to correct errors in blog content and, more importantly, provide a structured system for bloggers to be certified, trained, and financially empowered. Head of Department Information Technology and Innovation, Oluwatosin Babatunde, said the software creates space for monetization, job creation, and networking, and ensures bloggers can work within a credible framework. President of the Sierra Leone Association of Bloggers, Joseph Sano, noted that the initiative is one of its kind globally, a securitized platform where bloggers can not only register and publish their work, but also earn income based on the number of views.
The issue of monetization, we have solved it locally. A university has thought out of the box and have created a software through an MOU with the Salon Association of Bloggers, and you've built something that will ensure that they monitor, they support, and they develop young people that are without job, that have decided to make blogging their specialty.
Bloggers who attended the event welcomed the innovation, stating it addresses their long-standing call for a system that recognizes and rewards their efforts. The CEO of IB Blog expressed gratitude and assured that they would fully utilize the platform for its intended purpose.
It's a great step in the right direction. I want to take this moment to say thanks to the management of SAP, especially the chairman, Mr. Joseph Sano. It's a great one because it has been long overdue. We have been yearning for this success, and I think we, the content creators of bloggers, will utilize this opportunity.
The website is expected to serve as a central hub for registered bloggers to access training, certification and support, while also encouraging responsible content creation. SLBC News, Esther Sako reporting.
Well, time now for our segment, and we start with the international news update.
Hello and warm welcome to the International News Summary with me, Esther Sako. A Foreign Office report and impact assessment showed the biggest cuts this year will come in Africa, with less spent on women's health and water sanitation, with increased risk, it says, of disease and death. Aid charities have criticized the move, saying the cuts will impact the world's most vulnerable people. But the government says spending on multilateral aid bodies, money given to international organizations like the World Bank, would be protected, including the Gavi Vaccine Alliance, and it said the UK would also continue to play a key humanitarian role in hotspots such as Gaza, Ukraine and Sudan. The Foreign Office said bilateral support aid going directly to the recipients for some countries would decrease, and multilateral organizations deemed to be underperforming would face future funding cuts. It has not yet announced which countries will be affected. One organization that escaped the cut was the World Bank. The Foreign Office confirmed that the International Development Association, the World Bank's fund for the world's lowest income countries, would receive €1.98 billion in funding from the UK over the next 3 years, helping the organization benefit 1.9 billion people. More than 100 international aid organizations and human rights groups are warning of mass starvation in Gaza and pressing for governments to take action. Médecins Sans Frontières, Save the Children and Oxfam are among the signatories of a joint statement that says that colleagues and the people they serve are wasting away. Israel, which controls the entry of all supplies into Gaza, denies it is responsible for the increasingly severe food challenges. The organization's warning comes as the Charity Hamas-run health ministry said another 10 Palestinians died as a result of malnutrition in the last 24 hours. That brings the number of such deaths across Gaza since Sunday to 43, according to the ministry. The UN has reported that hospitals have admitted people in a state of severe exhaustion caused by lack of food, and that others were said to be collapsing in the streets. The World Health Organization has said almost 100,000 women and children are suffering from severe acute malnutrition and need treatment as soon as possible. Nigerian billionaire Aliko Dangote has warned that heavily discounted Russian petroleum products are flooding African markets, threatening the continent's emerging refining sector. Speaking at an oil conference in Abuja, Dangote said sanctions on Russian oil have pushed Moscow
to offload fuel at steep discount in Africa, often delivering substandard or toxic products that would be banned in the West. Despite launching Africa's largest refinery outside Lagos last year, a $20 billion facility with an initial capacity of 650,000 barrels per day, Dangote says securing local crude remains a challenge. He also criticized the Lomé floating oil market off the coast of Togo, where international traders store over 2 million barrels. He called it a major threat to domestic refineries. Although Africa produces 7 million barrels of crude oil daily, only 40% of its consumption is refined locally. He urged African nations to introduce fuel standards, tariffs, and environmental safeguards similar to those in Europe and North America. Africa still remains a small market for Russian oil products compared to major buyers like Turkey and Brazil. And finally, in Mozambique, opposition politician Venancio Mondlane has been hit with 5 criminal charges, including instigation to terrorism, following last year's post-election unrest. After the election, Mondlane led a month of protests that spread across the country. The violence left at least 400 dead and 600 injured, allegedly at the hands of the police. Mondlane says he's entering court with a clear conscience and an international legal team. He accuses the Champo government of betraying a peace deal they both signed in March. That agreement has sparked hope, leading to new reforms and a national reconciliation law passed in April. But tensions are rising again, and Mozambique's fragile democracy hangs in the balance. That's it for the international news summary from the Salem Broadcasting Corporation. I am Esther Sako. Goodbye.
Up next is the entertainment update.
Hello and welcome to the exciting entertainment news with me, Abdul Mansari. In this edition of entertainment news, Sierra Leone Film Council holds press briefing on new film policy. And of course, Francis Reful takes home 300,000 loans as the winner of the Salon Talent Search competition. Now, Sierra Leone Film Council, the body that is responsible to man the affairs of all film activities in the country, has organized a press briefing to alert everyone, including both filmmakers and the general public, about their upcoming new film policy. The policy is set to guide the affairs of filmmakers and film productions. In preparation to receive the new policy, the council has set to conduct its election. Candidates from across the regions were introduced with their electoral calendar and plans. According to the co-chair one, SLFC, Michael Cabo, the importance of the new policy will create great impact in the film industry. He also said the film sector has the capacity of empowering over 20,000 people in the country to reduce unemployment rate.
Especially the film industry. The film industry is the largest sector of entertainment worldwide. Look at how it contributes to the GDP of America, to Nigeria, South Africa, Bollywood, Nollywood, our neighbors, Nigeria. Look at how lives have changed. The best way to sell a country's culture, the best way to sell a country is through its cameras and mics. The movie they are watching now, whether they appreciate them or not, has not represented 5% of the talent that we have to offer. We have a lot in us, but the moment we're waiting for to give the best to the world is yet to arrive, but it will soon arrive.
Moreover, Mr. Kagbo said the new policy will address issues around film piracy and copyright issues in the entertainment industry.
The Copyright Act is also a looking forward to, now that it's been adjusted to suit the current perspectives in the industry. Because of the perceived policy, a lot of marketers have amalgamated, formed and formed a marketing union. In fact, they've started buying huge machines for duplications. And they've informed us that the prices will not be far from what the Chinese offer or what the Nigerians offer in terms of printing, labeling, standard packaging, and streaming opportunities are also there. I also speak of digital satellite broadcasts of some of these productions.
Meanwhile, the election campaigns are ongoing, and if you are a registered filmmaker, you can vote for your candidates to transform the film landscape in the country. Finally, the Salon Talent Search competition, organized by the Crips International, which has been on for months now, has finally come to an end. Among the top 5 competitors, Francis Reful, aka Keltoni, emerged as the winner of the Salon Talent Search 2025. The youngster bagged home a whopping sum of 300,000 leones as the grand prize, plus other prizes attached.
My lyrics to give hope be like prophecy. 80 years ago, I don't lose my mommy, but I'm still alive, moving and rolling with my homies. Enemies, they spread, I see them, the oldies.
And in first place, with 30,087 votes, and from the judges, 53%. In first place with 77.37%, here's Francis Kalama Rifle going home with 300,000 leons from the Salon Talent. Hey!
Wow! Congratulations to you, Keltoni. We can't wait to see what you'll bring to the table of entertainment. Well, that's all we have in this edition of Entertainment News. And now I've been your presenter, Abdul Mansari. Bye-bye.
And now for our final segment, the sports update.
Welcome along to the sporting updates that keeps you in the know, and thank you so much for your time. Now, the Electoral Committee of the Sierra Leone Football Association has requested for the submission of names for the elective congress that is slated for August 2nd. Well, they are requesting that the members will submit their names between the 25th and 26th of July 2025 in a bid to get things ready for the elective congress. And meanwhile, the president of the Sierra Leone Football Association and another candidate contesting as well for the presidency who were disqualified have written to CAS informing them of the situation. SLBC Sports is keeping an eye on that situation regarding the disqualification of the 2 candidates and the involvement of CAS as well in a bid to settle the very many problems surrounding the issues at present. In another development, National Olympic Committee has 2 young athletes have departed the shores of Sierra Leone for an exciting opportunity in Algeria. Well, this will give the 2 Sierra Leonean athletes the opportunity for them to get themselves ready ahead of important competitions, primarily the Islamic Solidarity Games, the Youth Olympic Games in Senegal, and other upcoming events, including the 2026 Commonwealth Games in Glasgow. Well, according to the president, this is an opportunity that they are happy about, and the ANOCA, the Association of National Olympic Committees of Africa, in collaboration with the Algerian Olympic Committee, provided this opportunity for Sierra Leone so that these athletes will have the needed expertise to excel and also to make Sierra Leone proud internationally. The 2 athletes, Mabinti Kamara and Prince Victorious John, will represent the nation at the maiden edition of the African School Games, scheduled to take place from 23rd July to 5th August 2025 in Algeria. The event is being hosted by the Algerian Olympic Committee under the leadership of the Association of National Olympic Committees of Africa, ANOCA. Speaking on the occasion, the president of the National Olympic Committee, Prince Vandi Swale, underscored the symbolism of their representation, noting that this will be an impactful moment for the youngsters as they represent Sierra Leone on a better platform and also ensure that they have the needed support to grow and meet their aspirations. Prince Wale stated that Sierra Leone's participation in the African School Games is a strategic investment in its sports development pathway, especially as the country prepares for forthcoming competitions, the Islamic Solidarity Games, the African Youth Games in Luanda, and the Youth Olympic Games in Dakar, plus the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow and the Summer Olympic Games in Los Angeles, hoping that these young athletes will have the needed opportunity to compete and they will serve equally as ambassadors in more ways than one. The NOC reaffirmed its commitment to supporting young athletes in Sierra Leone for future competitions. And that ends your updates. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.
From the sports desk, we end news hour for tonight. To end the news, the main points again. President Julius Maada Bio has welcomed a high-level delegation from IFAD and the Director General of the Bill Gates Foundation at State House. The delegation is in the country on a 3-day working visit to discuss partnership under the Feed Salon Initiative. The Sierra Leone Police has updated the media on the boat recently washed ashore at the Hamilton Beach. According to the head of media, Assistant Commissioner of Police ACP Prama Kamara, nothing of police interest was found after the police and the community people conducted a preliminary search on the boat. And the Ministry of Health and Sanitation has announced the temporary closure of the mortuary at the Connaught Hospital in Central Freetown. The closure, according to the hospital's management, was part of their upgrading the mortuary to modern standards. Well, that's all we have time for in this edition of News Hour. Thanks for joining us. My name is Daphne Zainab Kamal. Keep watching the SLBC. Good night.
To the water side, so if you wanna get The 59th Annual Convention of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat United Kingdom na a global convention where they promote peace, brotherhood, and one word across the world, where over 40,000 people can attend. Don't miss this live coverage of this unique event from the 25th July 2025 on SLBC. Doing Dentem the year.
Here's how to register for Salon Payment Switch using AfriMoney. Dial *161#. Select option 1. Go to option 4 for Salon Payment Switch. Select option 2 for account registration. Select 1 to register your alias, which is your phone number. Enter your PIN to confirm. You will receive an SMS confirming your registration. AfriMoney, quick and easy.
59th Annual Convention of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Community United Kingdom. A global convention promoting peace, brotherhood, and unity across the world. Attended by over 40,000 people. Don't miss this live coverage of this unique event from the 25th July 2025 on SLBC at the following times.
Hey, me. For can go na junction for go buy EDSA credit. It want money.
Say you want for go na street. Because the last EDSA credit wey me buy na ya asidom wey I buy am.
This one hard for believe.
Na true. Dial *363# with QCell and tell me what it say.
It say buy Q Power, get last 3 tokens, register meter and exit.
Easy.
But I no get QCell money.
Na it make am sweet and easy. Just top up your QCell and buy EDSA credit. No mobile money, no problem. It no be one day na salon.
Okay.
Pass with QCell.
Make a try am. Hey! Lights on car! Yes, use the QCell top up and buy EDSA Light anytime, any size. Just dial *363# and follow the instructions. Make sure say you register your meter number before you continue.
For more information, dial 111. Terms and conditions apply. QCell, Salon Pride.
Today is Wednesday, 23rd July 2025, and it is a pleasant morning. A warm welcome to your program, Good Morning Sierra Leone, the program that always starts your day. I am Sheko Swiler.
And I am Esther Sako. Our quote of the day is from an American author, Tom Robbins, and it says, "Our greatest human adventure is the evolution of consciousness. We are in this life to enlarge the soul, liberate the spirit, and light up the brain." Coming up in this edition of the program, the 2025 NPSC results are out, with a female pupil topping the charts, scoring 346. As the National Delegates Conference approaches, the SLBP appoints an independent elections monitoring and oversight committee. And we find out the implications of the ban imposed on the president of SLFA by the Ethics Board. On this note, we invite you to participate in the program by sending your text message to the number displayed on your screen, or send your comments on our Facebook page at SLBC Live. The program you're watching is Good Morning Sierra Leone, live on the SLBC. Stay with us.
We are back, and the program you're still watching is Good Morning Sierra Leone, live from a broadcasting house in Englandville in Freetown. Well, as you may have heard in the news, the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary School Education, MBSSC, has officially confirmed the early release of the 2025 National Primary School Examination NPSC result by the West Africa Examination Council WAEC, marking a significant milestone in Sierra Leone's education calendar. Minister of Basic and Senior Secondary Education, Conrad Saki, announced that this year's results were made available to the ministry on July 17, nearly a month earlier than the previous year's release on August 12. The early delivery of results is expected to fast-track school placements and improve planning across the education sector. The highest score in the country, an impressive T-score of 346, was achieved by Khadija Yawaju Mansari, a female pupil of Delhi Nursery Preparatory School in Wellington. Well, for more on this, we have a communication specialist at the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education, Augustine Bami Anthony. Good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning, Sheku, and good morning, viewers.
Indeed, we must say here that, or acknowledge that, you know, the timing for the release, you know, is historic in a way. You know, it has never happened. You know, so does this imply that previous delays were delayed with?
So no, not really. I think 2 weeks ago I was here on the same program. I was talking about how we want to really change the dynamics, especially for admission processes. We've realized that a lot of parents pay huge amounts of money to school authorities for their kids to be admitted, especially for transitional examinations, public examinations. So NPSC is one of the biggest that they really pay monies for, because at the end of the results, we have to call what's called placement meetings, where we invite principals to come tell us how many classrooms they have, how many candidates they will be able to admit for that academic year. So every year after that placement meeting, we'll have complaints of these principals admitting other candidates beyond the cutoff line. So that is what we have observed. So the best we could do was to try to release the results early, so have ample time to have the placement meeting settled, and also monitor vigorously the admission processes. And we have told parents, generally speaking, outside there, don't pay for admission. Our principals now know that if your cutoff line is 280, you should not go beyond 280. If for any reason you want to go beyond 280, you have to come back to the ministry for our approval. So people have to understand what is cutoff line. I think some people think it is the schools that will just sit down to say these are cutoff line. That's not the case.
So in other words, I mean, are you saying that the reason for, or among reasons for this early release was as a result of what we are talking about right now? I mean, cutoff line. Because the thing is, if you know candidates keep on, let's say for example, registration of candidates continues probably till a certain period when it becomes, you know, nearly impossible, then it becomes problematic. But as I said earlier, probably the question I put to you about you know, is it that previous delays we are dealing with? Because it's like what special efforts, you know, did you put in for this to happen?
So that is part of our transformation. You could also have to see the Beke and the wax very soon. Before now, we used to have Beke, for example, in August. We wrote Beke in July. So that is to tell you, a whole month was again brought forward to ensure that we have this marking processes done in time. So for the admission that I was talking about, this is part of the transformation that we want to set. We have had a lot of cries from parents, although they will not come out to tell their names, but they have to go to social media, to the posting and the grumbles around the marketplaces and the primary areas to say, I've paid 5 million for my kid to be admitted to this school, I've paid this. So we have really decided to get this thing right. For cut-off line, let me just let people understand. We invite the schools, the heads of schools. You come, you tell us how many kids you have to admit according to your space, according to the number of repeaters in your class, how many pupils you are intending to admit for that year. For example, if the ANIWASH says they want to admit 300 this year because they have repeaters of 100, for example, that goes to 400 in class. We'll have to go through the list of the candidates that sat for ANIWASH. Let's say 2,000 of them, and 1,500 passed for ANIWASH. What we do is we count the best grade for ANIWASH. Let's say the best grade will be 344. We count 344 as number 1, down to 300. So mean 344.
I mean, you are talking about now. Wait, now you've not answered the question. The question is, what special effort did you put in for the early release of results? Now you're talking about post release, and that is what you are explaining. What happens now in the schools in terms of placement and all of that? I'm talking about this early, because the news here is, yes, the results are out, but the news here is that what the magic, what led to this early release? That is where we are right now. Let us know.
So it is not a magic. We have to understand this. We have said we've tried to put concerted efforts. Now, before now, we used to mark, for example, we used to sit to the Becker in August. We brought that to July. We used to have the vigilators, they call it the markers, the examiners, mark WAS, for example, within this period. We said you have to wait until we go through Becker. So these are just a transformative drive to ensure that we put, because we have a very small number of markers in Sierra Leone, the examiners. So they have to mark Becker, they have to mark NPSC, they also do WAS. So what have been happening, they will be marking WAS and Becker commences as an exam. So they have to leave WAS, they come first, conduct Becker, because the same body that we have do the same thing. So we have said no, let's do it now systematically. Let's do Becker and WAS together. NPSC, everybody has to come together. Let's mark Becker quickly and let NPSC go out, and we now come with Becker and WAS as a way of shortening the time. So for example, candidates that will be going to university will have time now to prepare. So it's not just going to be for NPSC. Even Becker, we are going to work on that to ensure that we do not go into the first term as it used to be. So this is just part of the second term.
Okay, Mami, you were talking about the placement and all. That has been a challenge over the years. We've seen instances where a pupil will sit for the school, and when the results are out, when it comes to placement, they send the pupil to another school. So you said the reason for the early release of the results is to ensure that the placement is done properly. So let us know, how will the ministry ensure that those incidents does not reoccur?
So thank you. That was what I was going to really let viewers understand. Because if you understand how the cut-off lines are drawn, then they will know that it's not people that they are doing there. So if we have said, if for the ANIWASH I was taking as an example, we have said that they have 300 spaces, and we have counted the best grade of 344, for example, that's number 1, and down to the 300, and it falls on 280. 280 becomes the cutoff line for the ANIWASH, and not the ANIWASH determining that we are going to have cutoff line 280. So that is what the public imagines that happens. That's not the case. It is the ministry that sits with the heads of schools to determine as per the placement, as per the spaces available to them. So that is just for the first choice. We have second choice and third choices. So the first choice is, you say you want to go to ANIWASH, but for peradventure you are not fortunate to have the grade, you have another opportunity of a second choice. And the second choice should not be as over subscribed school as the ANIWASH. There has to be a school that is less subscribed to. So, for example, we say the UMC school is your second choice. So, if you are not fortunate to go to the annual, you have to come back to your second choice, and then you try your second choice, because your second choice is the first choice of other people. So, if it is your second choice, but you did very well, you have the grade, even than the first choices of the people, they will consider you. So that's
but that has been a challenge over the years, because most of the schools will tell you did not take my school as first choice, and now you've chosen as second choice. They will prefer taking the pupils that actually start for the school. So those that prefer it as they choose as second choice. It's
natural. Education now is competition. Before now, you could buy your way through the classes, but now you have to really study and pass. So it's part of the beauty we have created at the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education. If you want to go to the annual, you have to study hard to get the grades. It's natural. If somebody chooses a UMC, as I said, as a first choice, and gets 280, and they are requesting for 280, and you are coming from the annual as your first choice and the UMC as your second choice, and you get the same 280, so of course the preference have to go to the fourth.
But it still begs the question, what brought in the first and second and third choice?
Because of one transfer fee, people we are using monies to get their kids admitted. They will say, you're not put from a school, so you are coming here as a second person, you have to pay. So we created that room to say, before now, the time some of us start to the NPSC, if you say you want to go to the board school and you do not have the grade for the board school, you do not have second choice. So your parents have to be going helter-skelter to find school for you. The school that you are going to, you have to pay for transfer fee, because that was not your first choice. That extortion is what we wanted to stop, to ensure that if you really miss your first choice, you could go to your second choice without paying monies.
But me as a teacher, yeah, let us talk about the psychological aspect, education psychology. I sat for example, Albert Academy. I didn't get the grades to be admitted or to be enrolled, and then I will have to look for another choice, another school. Probably I'll be placed by the Ministry of Education.
That's the last option.
As the policy stands right now. Let us talk about how will that affect a particular GPA for a student. I will have to be choosing for, not what I had wanted. Psychologically, how does that affect education?
Naturally, we also need to understand that if you really start for the Albert Academy and you really get the mark for Albert Academy, and the only choice you have is to repeat the exams, what do you think between the two? The ministry placing you to a junior secondary school that you qualified for, or you tend to repeat the exams? From the two, which one carries the higher psychological impact?
Have you done a study, to ascertain the willingness as to whether the person wants to repeat or probably to be chosen for?
So we have a policy. If you have 230, means you've passed NPSC, right? So it is the responsibility of the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education to place you in a school should you are not able to have a first, second and third choices. We'll place you to a school within the zones, within the area you start the NPSC, or one of the schools you choose as your first, second, or third choices. Within that area, we'll find a school and place you.
So what if the candidate prefers repeating to being placed? What if, because the thing is, it has to do with the mind. There are some people they've got their schools and they really want to stay in that school.
So the choice here is with the parents. Our responsibility as a ministry is to ensure that every pupil that passes 230 or gets 230 and above is placed in a junior secondary school. So if the parents feel that no, our child is not going to go to the school the ministry has chosen, then it is your choice to let the child repeat the exams. Right? What we are discouraging is one, extortion by some principals, two, a candidate passing the exams and being deprived of going to a junior secondary school. So we want to have a level playing field. If you have gotten 230, means you have passed. So it is our responsibility to place you in a school. If that school is not your choice and you want to repeat, that decision lies with the parents and not the Minister for Education.
Okay, continue to stay with us. So the program is Augustine Bami Anthony, and he is the communication specialist at the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education. Well, we'll move on to another issue. As the National Delegates Conference of the ruling SLPP will be held on the 30th to 31st of July 2025, where delegates will be electing the national officers to run the party affairs for the next 4 years. Delegates will be in Freetown to usher an executive that will also take the party to the 2028 elections. Well, in a notice signed by the outgoing Secretary General, Ambassador Mohamed Iyangawa has been appointed as chairman of the Independent Election Monitoring and Oversight Committee to oversee the conduct of the elections for the national officers of the party. According to the outgoing Secretary General, all issues relating to the conduct of the elections are now directed to him and the committee. Meanwhile, the list of the candidates from Chairman, the Secretary General, organizing to chaplain and imam have been published. To get more insights to all this, we have in the studio Harry Lawrence Lima, the outgoing Publicity Secretary, SLPP. Good morning, welcome to the program.
Good morning and thank you for having me.
Okay, so give us an insight on how prepared is the SLPP going to the National Delegates Conference?
Well, we're prepared in such a way that we've now concluded our lower level elections. We've had the last NEC meeting. Of course, our offices have been dissolved by lapse of time. Date for the National Delegate Conference has been set. The venue has also been chosen, and the body that is responsible for the conduct of the election has been set. They have also come up with their ground rules. They've called for applications, they've conducted interview for certain positions. Today they will be conducting an interview for the chairman position, all gearing towards the 30th to the 31st for the National Delegate Conference. So this is how we're prepared so far.
So tell us what will be the role of the Independent Elections Monitoring Oversight Committee?
Their role is to conduct the elections for national officers. They come up with ground rules that will guide the conduct of the elections, and that's what they are doing at the moment. They are now conducting interviews, and from there, once they concluded with the interview with all the candidates, then they'll be set for the delegate conference.
So now, you know, it was yesterday for nomination or so for certain positions. Secretary General. Now, Lawrence, let us talk about, you know, the office which you once occupied. You know, you'll be now an ex-official one. But the thing is, we have seen names. Because being the publicity secretary for a political party, you know, means a lot. You know, you have to have what it takes for you, because you are the face. You know, you interface with the public. You interface more with the electorates, because you are there to sell or market, you know, the ideas, the ideology, you know, the manifesto of your party. Is that office highly contended in your absence?
Yeah, there are people vying for the positions. I think I know so far of 3 or 4 names. Patrick Madakruma, who calls himself aka Political Hot Boost. Of later, you have Imran Silla, a part of the name of Augustine Ali, and of recent a part of Moses Mambu as well.
So what do you expect of somebody who probably emerges? You know, because you know what office means to the party, and you will not, you know, even though you're not there now, to see somebody in that office who probably will not perform. You know, what do you expect of whoever emerges as the winner of, you know, for the winner of that particular position, you know, the public affairs section?
Well, in the first place, your knowledge of the rules and regulations of the party is very critical. you have to be an outspoken person. Your analytical skills should be up. And the other thing again, they need to also understand. We came in. We those who will be succeeding, we are assuming those offices. I mean, we are assuming that office in two different atmosphere. I came in whilst we are in opposition. They are intending to succeed me whilst the party is in government, and the approach to communications are also different. But among the list of people I have mentioned there, Imran has been a political communicator. Patrick Madakruma, of course, is one of my PROs in the North America region, and he has actually made his intention to me earlier on that he wants to succeed me, especially when I told him I would not be running anymore. So over time we've been working on his communication approach, because he has his own experience, he has his own knowledge base, but when it comes to political communications, there are tools you need to have, there are skills you need to possess. Even though your individual strength may be different from mine, but you require certain basic skills for you to be able to handle political communication.
Well, now you earlier said, you know, about Imran Silla has been a political commentator, a political, communicator in a way. And the other man who lives in the United States, you mentioned, you said
it's one of my PRs.
Yes. But then probably are you endorsing Imran?
I will not endorse any of them. The delegates have to endorse. But what I would say, I have worked with Patrick, and he has actually paid respect, I would say homage, to me personally. Not only telling me that I want to vie for a position, but I'm also requesting your mentorship.
So you're indirectly saying you're in support of him?
That's not what I'm saying. I am really saying that he is the one I have worked with.
Indirectly saying it.
I've worked with him, I know him, I know his communication skills, and also I know, well, there are things I would not want to say here, because political party communication also, don't forget, just after, by 2028 we'll be competing with other political parties. So there are a few things I would not want to say that really borders around our strategy. But there are certain requirements, one who wants to communicate on behalf of a political party.
Now, if I can understand you, also been around political reporting for some years now, it seems as though among the four you've just mentioned, you've got somebody in mind, somebody probably you don't want to endorse openly. That is just the
I worked with him. He's my PRO. If he wants to succeed me, if I was to choose, I was going to choose him. But that's not my decision, it's the decision of the delegates.
So among the two, you've only mentioned, even though there are four contesting, you've only mentioned
Imran Silla.
So among the two, who do you prefer?
No, I will not show my preference.
Okay, so Lima, let's talk on the list that was published. The list of candidates that was published. So we see, and what has been a concern is we see some people that are public servants, their names were among those that were vying for this position. Does the party give such people to stand for any position?
Well, public servants, as in what capacity? Operating as professionals. Because if you are a professional public servant that has certain limitations, that you should not participate in politics, then that is out of the questions. But if, for instance, you are not a politician holding a political office and you want to vie for position in the SLPP.
Not a politician, a public servant.
Well, it depends on the public office you hold. I would not know their restrictions, because not all public offices restrict people from participating in in political.
I think we're talking here about civil servants, because
no, civil servants.
There is a dichotomy between
civil servants
a public servant and a civil servant.
Civil servant cannot participate in politics, as far as I know.
Openly.
The laws of
openly.
Well, of course, when we're talking of participation, it's open. So we're not talking in secrecy. So if you're a civil servant, of course, the political space is not your domain. So I would not expect any civil servant. Of course, they have their own ethics guiding their work. You should be able to know better. If you want to be a politician, then leave the civil service.
Now, how contentious are these, positions? For example, the chairman, Secretary General, will eventually, be the scribe of the party, the organizing secretary, and we've just spoken about the PRO. The person who is going to be the face of the party, just like you're doing. But now let us know how is the contest, especially for the chairman, the chairmanship of your party, the chairman and the scribe.
It's a healthy contest. Of course, this is a family contest we're doing. It's a healthy one, even though it's a fierce one, but it's healthy because there are rules guiding the conduct, and unexpected standard of behavior is required of them, because you're vying for very sensitive positions in the party, and then you have to portray yourself as one who is worthy of the position you are.
Are we expecting? Because based on the vibe around town or around the country, there is a particular candidate for the chairmanship that is standing out. So, are we expecting the coronation of Batiro? Because wherever you go, this is the name that is ringing there. So instead of being probably an election, are we expecting a coronation?
Well, let's go to the full. The delegate to decide that. If we are going to do a coronation, then there will not have been contenders. But because you have contenders, then you have to give the delegates to make the opportunity to make their choice.
Okay, continue to stay with us on the program. He's High Lawrence Lima, and he's the outgoing publicity secretary for the Salient People's Party. Well, we now take our L tip of today, and today we take a look at 6 symptoms of mild cognitive impairment. Mild cognitive impairment is when you or people around you notice a decline in your memory and thinking. While you can still manage your daily routine, you may misplace items, have trouble focusing on tasks, and have difficulty making decisions. Let's watch and learn.
You misplaced your keys again, or keep forgetting the name of your new neighbors. Is it just a natural part of aging, or something else? If you have mild cognitive impairment, MCI, you may experience a noticeable decline in memory and thinking. While MCI looks different in each person, you may see a decline in the following skills. 1. Memory. You may find yourself repeating things you say or forgetting details of recent events. Number 2. Language. During a conversation, you may find yourself pausing and searching for the right word. It may also take you longer to understand written or verbal information. Number 3. Attention. Have you noticed a change in your attention span? You may find that you lose focus or get distracted more easily than you used to. Number 4. Judgment. You may have difficulty forming opinions and making decisions quickly. Number 5. Planning. It may take you longer to complete or plan for certain tasks. For example, you may fall behind on paying a bill. Number 6. Reasoning. You may have trouble thinking logically, making it harder to solve problems in a timely manner. MCI isn't the same as dementia. If you have MCI, you can typically carry out your daily routine, but MCI may progress into dementia. Research shows that about 2 in 10 people with MCI over age 65 develop dementia. In some cases, MCI can be an early stage of neurodegenerative conditions like Alzheimer's disease and Parkinson's disease. If you or a loved one notices a change in your abilities, don't hesitate to talk with a healthcare provider. Your doctor can answer any questions and develop a plan that's unique to you.
We are back, and the program you're still watching is Good Morning Sierra Leone, live from the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation. But before we went for one break, we are talking to Lahailo Ziman, the immediate past PRO of the SLPP, as the party prepares for their National Delegates Conference, which is going to be held here in Freetown, and from the 30th to the 31st of July 2025. But before we go back to discussions in the studios, let us go for a very short outdoor break, and we'll be right back.
As a mother of the house, whenever I want to prepare palm soup, there's no need pounding palm fruit. All I need is Nkulenu's Ghana's original palm soup base. My soup is done, and its preparation, it is not difficult at all. Nkulenu palm soup base, it's easily done with no difficulties. Just take few ladles and your soup is done. And its flavor, it's amazing. This is Nkulenu's Ghana's original palm soup base. And this is Nkulenu's Ghana's original spiced palm soup base. Iron fruit and turkey berries are naturally added.
Also available Brown Gold natural cocoa powder, Sunny Gold brown sugar, meat fufu flour, shito, pisa, and moringa. All available at Nyami Ado Enterprise, 1 Lower Waterloo Street, Freetown.
Nkulenu palm soup base.
Ghanaian original taste.
We are back, and we are back, and the program you're still watching is Good Morning Sierra Leone. Now, also, one of the biggest news in town is the suspension of the incumbent and president of the Sierra Leone Football Association by the Ethics Committee. The Ethics Committee, where the Ethics Board of the Sierra Leone Football Association, SLFA, has imposed a 1-year ban on its outgoing president, Thomas Dadi Brema, and fined him 5,000 new leons following a damning investigation into allegations of forgery and misrepresentation. This decision comes just weeks before the much anticipated SLFA Elective Congress set for August 2nd or August 2, 2025, effectively disqualifying Dadi Brema from seeking re-election. The disciplinary action stems from a formal petition filed by the Kono District Football Association accusing him of 2 major infractions: the misappropriation of funds and forgery, falsification of official documents, specifically relating to conflicting information in his passports and police clearance documents. Well, in the studio to talk more on this is sports journalist Abdullahi Ferra Conte. Good morning, Abdullahi.
Good morning, and good morning to Sierra Leoneans watching this.
So, what does this mean for football in this country?
It is disheartening that we're having such saga ongoing when, in fact, we're just a few weeks to Congress, and I'm pretty sure you understand how much the people of Sierra Leone are in love with football, despite the fact that there are other sporting disciplines right across the country who are in fact, doing very well when it comes to their own field than football. But people are very much, linked to football, and that is why you're seeing, or everywhere you go, you're getting this, arguments going around between supporters of Mr. Thomas Dadi Brema, supporters of Mr. Lubali Kamara, supporters of Aminata Bangura, and Mr. Ba, and everyone in that purview who is vying for the presidency of the Sierra Leone Football Association. I think there are people of substance, and we've seen their input into the game. But it is obvious we need to have one, president for the Sierra Football Association. Because I get the other day, some of our colleagues were arguing, why would we just, bring these two people together and let them just work? So I tell them, I say, well, it's because we only need one of them, and other positions, we had candidates who have already, done their processes to vie for them. Why I say it is disheartening, it is the fact that we've seen the development of football. We've seen how important, football is. I remember when we went to the African Cup of Nations, Mr. Lima here will definitely testify to that. He's now speaking on behalf of SLPP. But when it was football, we saw people from SLPP, people from APC, people from NDC, every other sector coming together, having fun, blowing their vuvuzela, jamming their pot covers, and a whole lot of other things. That is, it's a sign, or it's a very huge thing we need to look at that. I think football has that, capacity to bring people from different walks of life together, or different political background, or different social or educational background. So let's go now to the issue properly. A lot of the time, for me, I'm very much disappointed at few colleagues who are, supposed to inform the public rather than misinform them. We had 4 candidates vying in for the presidency of the Sierra Football Association. Mr. Ba, we had Aminata, who, was the only female candidate among the 3 giant men. We had Mr.
She has also been disqualified.
Yes, so I'm just let people understand the number that's going for the position. So the process is, after you've already been nominated, people will now start sending petitions against you, or you saying, well, we're vying for this position, but I don't think Mr. Lima is qualified, due to A, B, C, and D. Like you already mentioned, a public servant or somebody's working under, will be deemed disqualified to contest for a position in. So that's the rule, that's the law. And let me take you guys back to 2019-2020. The election, or the Congress that brought the incumbent now Thomas Dadi Brahma into power, had several candidates who were disqualified from vying for positions. People need to understand it, because the other day I learned from one of me, this is the very first time, in fact, they are even setting such committee, and the reason for that is just to disqualify the incumbent.
In fact, let me just remind you also that even the election that brought Madam Aisha Johansson to power.
I don't want to do that. No. I was just taking out from the previous. It's important to do that.
It's important. We don't need to rewrite history.
Yeah, it's important to do that.
It's for the education of the public.
Yeah,
that was what happened. When Mohamed Kalon, Rodney Michael, and others were disqualified by the same ethics committee. Back then.
So that is why it is important we let the public know, and I believe this podium now, this medium, as a national broadcaster, will help people a lot to understand the issues. A lot of people don't even understand that we're having 4 candidates vying. They only thought it was Joe Babadi and the incumbent Thomas Dadi Brahma. And so when the investigations were conducted, these petitions, there were selected dates. Now the ethics committee, those who didn't have any petition, they were considered viable. But those who had petitions against them were called to clarify some of these petitions. And they were given the free will to bring people along, to bring legal practitioners around, so that maybe there is a time I will not be able to explain, my legal person will do that. And we've seen in courts, people will go to court, this against this, your lawyer is there presenting this case, these other individuals over there trying to see how best they argue out their case, and at the end of the day, the judge of the magistrate,
as a sports journalist, as a sports journalist, how do you probably react to this conspiracy theory? But what is happening right now by the ethics committee is a deliberate attempt to knock out Thomas Dadi Brahma and to give Babadi Kamara, an advantage, for a free ride.
Okay, so let me take you back. Like I said, the Congress that brought Thomas Dadi Brahma to power, we had Rodney Michael. In fact, he was the popular candidate. Rodney Michael was like the people's choice. Everywhere you go around the media, he was the one people are seeing. Thomas was not even known that much before winning this Congress election. So Rodney Michael was disqualified, and Thomas Dadi Brahma benefited from that years ago. I'm just trying to say, let's understand the dynamics of what is currently happening. Another candidate, not only like I said, Rodney Michael, Augustine Campbell as well was disqualified, and he was also vying for the presidency for the Sierra Football Association. So, like you already said, also, okay, it's a conspiracy. I think we need to go back there again and say maybe it was a conspiracy for us to have Thomas Dadi Brahma as the president of the Sierra Leone Football Association. What I want the public to understand is the ethics committee has the power, you know, to do whatever they did. And now, what happened with Thomas? He had issues with his passports. One bearing different information compared to the other having different information. And we have this police screening clearance form that you obtained as an individual from the Sierra Leone, how would I say, CID, Criminal Investigation Department. And so, Mrs. Aminata Bangura and that of Thomas Dadi Brahma, they were asked by the committee, did you guys go for this screening document? Because they are using your thumbprint. The reason for that is because it is only unique to me. And so before this time, let me just round up on this. They attested to it. They said they went as individual to collect this particular police clearance or screening form.
The controversy is, let me come in.
Okay.
We are talking about the present president of the Sierra Leone Football Association.
Yeah.
He was elected.
Yeah.
So why were all those things brought up before he was elected with regards to the passports, the police clearance? He is the president.
No, let me correct you there. The tenure of Thomas Dadi Brahma has expired. And now it is within the powers of the electoral committee and out of the ethics committee to bring us candidates again. We saw what happened in national politics. Even though I would say His Excellency, Dr. Julius Malabi was the president, but what he contested again. He had to go through all of these, procedures. It does not necessarily mean because you are the president of the FA, you are free from that. Now going back, let me come. The documents that were used to disqualify are recent documents, not those. He didn't have those passports back then when he was vying for the presidency. Now he had 2 or 3 or 4 different passports bearing one 1974, as I may put it, the other having an age gap of 3 years or so. And so important that it is very important. If I'm asked to say, did I go to the Criminal Investigation Department to collect the form? If I didn't go there, I will make it clear. Now the ethics committee, what they did, they wrote letters to not only the Criminal Investigation Department, but they did so as well to the immigration, the general manager of immigration, who is Mr. Moses Tifa. They were requesting that, okay, we have people who laid petition against, let's say, my education board here. Can you please help us or support us, with regards to this petition? Is there anything there that these petitioners are saying it is true? And when the Director General tendered those documents to the ethics committee, they found out it was really a reality. And even the incumbent Thomas Dadi Brahma attested to it. Let's make this clear. He only said, well, it was a mistake with the ethics committee. People need to understand this. He had legal representative on that day when he was having the petition. Now, let's not make it look as if it was only the incumbent that was petitioned. Mr. Babadi Kamara was also petitioned on 4 or 5 grounds. In fact, I think he had more than even the incumbent. Amongst them, assault, the issue of assault. I remember we had an interview last time where we talked about Jonathan, that our colleague journalist who was attacked at Radisson Blue. So, where do you think the ethics committee will get their findings from, or the document they want to nip Babadi on? What they did, they went back to the police station to say, okay, we had an assault on a colleague, a journalist who is by the name of Jonathan. Can you please provide us documents or the report?
David.
Yes, David, right. Can you provide us with documents that will show that Babadi was really part of this particular assault? It may surprise you to know that when David was even making his statement at the police station, he did include Babadi Kamara as the individual who assaulted him. I don't know much about the law, but if we're saying we're trying to nip somebody on assault, it means he must be linked or the individual that did whatever happened. And so, after investigation, they find out that he was alleged, like I said, assault, buying his way through for football games. He's giving money to teams to travel from Freetown here to go to Kenema because they were trying to win the league at that time. Remember, Boyangers were dominating the Premier League, and so the people had this perception that Babadi Kamara was really buying matches. You understand? And so they also had this petition. What is interesting is the fact that it is not only one individual. Let me make this clear. Thomas Dadi Brahma is part of the individual that petitioned Babadi Kamara, along with Mohamed Kalon,
along with Slipher, that is Benjamin Gordon. You all know it is most times, you know, somebody who's so passionate about football. We also had Abacha City. All of these. In fact, what happened, the committee was like, they had to even fine them for not giving them enough, you know, evidences. Because if you're saying this man is buying his way in football, one of the individuals that petitioned, what in fact the lawyers did, they took videos, pictures, and you know, transactions that happened between Babadi and even the individual that is sending the petition against him.
So Babadi was free of all the 5 count charges.
They ruled him free of all of it because there was no enough evidence. Now those that did the petition, it was in their place to have sufficient amount of evidence. If you say this person is buying a match against this other team, do you have a match where this referee is manipulated, like you already said, because of the money that was given? No. They didn't tender any evidence of that.
Okay, now moving forward, content. You know, we'll have the whole day.
Yeah, to discuss. So let's look at now where are we going.
Now,
what does it mean for
moving forward?
Yeah.
Now,
okay.
You know,
it's
now. Do you think, because everybody, according to what I've heard, you know, has also decided to take the matter to FIFA and CAF.
Yeah.
So do you think that elective congress, okay, you know, will take place on this stipulated
let me shock you guys now that the electoral committee, they've already issued out a press release asking the Football Association to tender names of delegates who are going to be part of the August 2nd you know, congress in Lungi. So you begin to ask yourself, why? You know, he's the president. He understands. He has the acting secretary general who also have been to several conferences around the world because of the Football Association. So, whilst it is possible or important for him to go to CAS and appeal, even in Sierra Leone here, there are decisions that are taken in some courts. If you are not okay with it, you file a petition or you know, an appeal to either Supreme Court.
Social media with regards to them going to the international court.
So that's what I'm saying. We've not received any correspondence or we've not seen any letter. FIFA hasn't said anything about having the incumbent now, you know, sending a petition. So what is he waiting for?
It is true, Mr. Conte, but even among journalists, I mean, sports journalists, sure, you are divided on this.
So that's why before I start,
it's like you guys have already taken sides.
Yes, they have their own candidates.
There are some for Babadi and some for Daddy
Brahma.
Okay. So is that true? Is that true that you guys?
That's why I said, get me excluded because I'm here on national TV.
Okay.
I've been called by both of all the camps that are there. I told them the people need somebody who's going to give them bias-free information. Okay. If all of us as media personalities, all of us as sport journalists are going behind Thomas, are going behind Babadi, what will happen is that it is the situation we're having now. A lot of the time they are misinforming even the public. I saw a release before coming here that if in fact the ethics committee have, you know, already added again Thomas Dalibrana to vie in, and they accepted that it was a mistake. So you see, and that thing is being posted by someone who is very much reliable in terms of sports. But why? He has already said, you know, his professionalism. Okay. So that's why we're having these issues.
Now, the thing is, you know, we're about, rounding up.
Yeah.
Or wrapping up. Do you really think, you know, some of the analysis people make, I mean, sports pundits, analysts, journalists, as the case may be, are genuine in a way? Because as it goes, as it stands right now, you can clearly see, you know, where everybody stands.
So that's the thing.
Some are for
Daddy Brahma,
yes, some are for Daddy Brahma, some are for Thomas. You know, because
let me quickly hold you there. What happened in the previous Congress? Let me just come in. The two popular candidates for that Congress were Madam Aisha Yuansin and that of Rodney Michael. Let's understand this. So that is why you don't underestimate anything when it comes to politics. Okay. Thomas was never the favorite in 2019-2020. The favorite, like we already mentioned, as at now, people are saying Babadi, people are saying Thomas Dalibrana. The favorite for that Congress before coming into power was Rodney Michael and that of Madam Aisha Yuansin. We had like Navo, Mr. Navo even went for that as well. It only got to a point where that he had to step down. Navo of the CEO of you know, AYV. So this is for us to understand. I also mentioned another name here, Ali Kamo, who was also vying for Augustin, who was also vying for the presidency.
Okay.
Yes.
Now we know where everybody stands.
Yes, we are hoping that
is right now, because we're talking about few days or few weeks to the elective Congress.
Sure.
But however, we see what happens as the conversation.
For me, I'm hoping that the incumbent president will go to FIFA. Let's have a clear decision on that.
Yes, we need to go through the papers quickly.
Okay, my first speaker is the Oko newspaper, and its banner headline says Justice Brown Mark to be installed as District Grandmaster in historic Masonic ceremony. Sierra Leone received 50,000 additional mpox vaccines in ongoing battle against the virus. Well, these stories and many more you can find on Awoko newspaper.
Now, the New Vision says Irish ambassador bids farewell to President Bio as State House Finance Minister assumes chairmanship of GIABA. Start SL concludes midterm review. Deputy Minister of Finance at HLPF 2025 in New York.
Concord Times newspaper by the headline says Voices of the Voters. What Sierra Leoneans want in the next electoral system. SLPP Mambu vows to change the narrative. The Sierra Leone will deserve a sectorial vision for renewal part 3. These stories and many more you can find on Concord Times newspaper.
Now, the Global Times says Irish ambassador bids farewell to President Bio. President Bio don't allow the school feeding program to collapse. Women remanded for house breaking. Civil society activists commend NPRADG. These are some of the stories in the Global Times newspaper.
My final pick is the Independence Observer, and its banner headline says Mr. President, can we talk? Part 203. In the 2028 elections, why Joel Dejalo should lead SLPP. ACC engages Kayonati State Council on strategy implementation. And Sunbird Bioenergy Sierra Leone elevates audit efficiency through advanced Excel training. These stories and many more you can find on the Independence Observer.
Yes, and from the Independence Observer, I move on to my final paper, I don't know the list, and it is the Awareness Times, and it says, as CEO Shadi Gawaji assures Africell set for life-changing housemates for, I mean, talking about season 4 anyways, 10,000 rally as youth minister champions grassroots football. These are some of the stories you can see in the Awareness Times newspaper, and the program you're still watching is Good Morning Sierra Leone. We are about going, but then quickly, the communications experts in the Ministry of Basic Senior Secondary School Education. Now, you said what has happened to NPSC will also affect the care. What is the assurance?
Okay,
that
so
will be very brief.
Yeah, quickly, we have been able to maintain consistency in our transformative drive. You could see the outcome of the results. You could see the 78.2, 78.9, the 80% passing. Of course, that has happened in the NPSC, the Becker, you could see the 96%, and of course the WAS. These are all the efforts we've been putting together, the equipment of qualified teachers, the expansion of examination centers, of course the supply of supplementary teaching materials to our kids, a lot of other things we brought, the technology we've injected into education.
But there are instances we saw in the past, those especially entering, transitioning from DSS to SSS, having to wait till the second term because of delays in the release of, the results.
So that was what exactly I was trying to say when you were interrupting it. This is because we have been having WACs separately marked by the same individuals, and they will have to leave that when Beckett begins. So they have to leave, conduct Beckett first, and after which they go back to continue to mark the one. So now we have said we are going to mark both of the exams together because we have the same candidate, same volume.
What should the public expect from the SLPP to have a credible election process as you go into your delegates conference?
Well, a very successful one, a healthy and fierce competition, but one that will end us united and formidable for 2028.
Formidable. Are we expecting to see a serene environment? Because elections of this nature, especially when a party is in power, everybody wants to milk from what is around. Are we expecting a very quiet, a very peaceful, delegates conference?
I will not say it will be quiet or it will be. I will not